Hello everybody. How are we all doing? It's Thursday and I'm live and you're here and I'm here. And that's how it goes, isn't it? Generally speaking, I go live, you're here to watch, we have a little chat. That's the end of that. Georgia like the straight with the 3 consecutive stream watch. How you doing? Good to see you. Hello everybody. We got Ninny, we've got Nappers, we've got Lil Sandino. Lil Sandino, you might have the oldest Twitch account of all of my chatters. It says that your account was created in 2007. That's mad. That's absolutely mad. Middle Earth Mark says, Prince Infidel, how are we all doing? What's good? It's good to see you all. We have got a thankfully minimal amount of news to cover today. Because, of course, it is movie night, isn't it? Don't forget, movie night tonight in the Discord. We will be finishing the stream at about 10 p.m. So it's going to be uber small stream tonight. So that we can have enough time to actually watch these films. Of course, we will mainly be suffering through Melania. It's about an hour and 44 minutes. But I am actually really excited to watch The Apprentice. I think it looks really good. So that one is going to be good. I can almost guarantee it. It's going to be pretty intense. I've heard that there's like some quite intense scenes, but yeah, it's something I'm looking forward to. Hello PvP, hello Soccer, how are you? What's going on? My day's been a bit all over the place. I woke up a bit late. Don't really have any reason for that. I guess was streaming for a long time yesterday. How long was the stream yesterday? I uploaded the VOD just before. The Apprentice is going to be second. You can't watch The Apprentice first and then watch Melania later, because what would be the point of that? You saying we should watch the bad movie second? That's crazy. It's called delayed gratification. That's what that is. Yeah, the stream last night was 6 hours and 17 minutes. So yeah, I went crazy this week with streams. I did a 6-hour stream on Tuesday, 6-hour stream yesterday, and a 7-hour stream on Monday. Yeah, that's a bit mad. It's a bit mad that that's how that's gone down. So I'm not feeling too bad about just doing a shorter stream today. Bummer I have class today, so I can't make movie night, but I hope you all have a great time. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Look, movie night is possibly one of the worst organized events that I do in terms of streaming. I'm rubbish at all of this. I'm only just kind of good at going live each day. So, you know, important to remember. There's things I'm good at, there's things I'm bad at, there's things I'm mediocre at. And that's it. There could have been a longer stream today, but I had to go to the gym because there's just no way that I could just be having as many days off the gym as I've been having recently. So, yeah, I had to go to the gym, spend a decent hour in there. Well, it's not even really an hour. It's more like 40 minutes, but I had a decent workout. And so I decided to go and get a burrito instead for my tea to offset that. Gumba says we should watch The Bad Thing first and then get something good as a treat. That's exactly how I'm positing it. 1000%. But hello, Gumba Master. How are you doing? Good to see you. What was I going to say? Yeah, so offset the time that I spent in the gym by not cooking a dinner tonight. So that's that. But, you know, it's fine to have a treat every now and then, isn't it? It's literally just a burrito and some tendies. That's it. Just a burrito and some tendies. It's nothing crazy. There's no, like, crazy sugar or weird preservatives or anything like that in it. It's a local place that cooks it all fresh, you know? I just hope that the ched is all right, because I had cheese with it. But I'm sure it will be. It's not going to be any worse than other kinds of cheese. So that's that. That's my day. I've done a bit of editing for the Zad doc again. Anything else? I think that's it. I think that's entirely it. I don't have anything else to tell you. We should just crack on with stuff. Hello, Hunter Biden's bathroom. How you doing? Hello, hello, hello. As always, chat, I've got some important stuff to share with you at the start of the stream. Really important stuff. It's really crucial that we get through this. It's, you know, it's hard, tough content. Yeah, heavy content. But I think you can all handle it. I can handle it. You can handle it. We'll get through it together. Let's check it out right now.
7. Yeah. A letter, he sent it best wishes and his regards, of course. So back to Zen. You failed me! The answer is because we're facing a war now on 2 fronts. To show that we are going to
True democracy is citizen-led. Politics.
That was great. I really like that. Thank you to Duke of Blonde for putting that in the Discord. That was pretty spicy. Hey chat, I heard you like stuff like that. So here's a bit of this. Here's some more stuff.
トランプ always チキンズアウト
Hang on.
トランプ always チキンズアウト
Thank you very much. It's good that Japanese people are having this explained to them. It is very important. I think that's very important. There we go, chat. I told you we could get through it, didn't I? Am I 6'7" yet, boggers? Gotta be teachers. Got to be teachers. It's how we help people. It's true. Hello, Vord. Hello, Gioluca. Burrito is my ideology. It's a bit late. I mentioned burritos ages ago. But better late than never. That's what I say. I've got a bit more of it left to have later. It's very exciting. Hello, Nuclear Slayer. Welcome in. Good to see you. Listen. Now it's time to get into the bad stuff. This is real bad. This is actually the bad stuff. This is the real bad stuff. No more games. No more games, chat. This is the news that Mark Rutte... Wait, what do you mean, wait? Am I reading that title right? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, that's right. Good, innit? It's good stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. There's a draft. They should close the door then. Oh! Okay. This is the Supreme Commander of NATO, or whatever the fuck it is. NATO Secretary General, not the Supreme Commander, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Saying that Trump is clearly disappointed with NATO allies, and he has been in meetings with Trump yesterday and today, and it appears that he is trying to get Rutte to mobilize NATO members in some way to get involved in this illegal war, because apparently he can't do it, which is quite funny, isn't it? There is also an ultimatum that Trump has issued NATO, I think. Was this like today or yesterday or something? I don't know. He issued like a deadline or something. Like, he was mad yesterday. We saw that he posted, NATO wasn't there when we needed them. They won't be there if we need them again. Remember Greenland. Let's have a little look. Let's have a little look at the Truth Social, yeah? Let's have a look at the Truth Social first. And see what we can learn from his posts. Yeah? We're post whisperers. We're the Trump whisperers, chat. That's what we are now. So, he did one 15 hours ago, so what, like, hang on, 12, that's 7 in the morning, and then 2 hours behind 7 in the morning is 5. So he tweeted this at midnight. The failing New York Times and fake news CNN each reported a totally fake 10-point plan on the Iran negotiations, which was meant to discredit the people involved in the peace process. All 10 points were a made-up hoax. Evil losers make America great again. Okay, so he's mad that they are talking about the 10-point plan. The more and more that he does this, the more and more people are just going to want to know what that is. All U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel. Can I do the voice? I don't have to read any more things. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. All U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, and anything else that is appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy will remain in place in and around Iran until such time as the real agreement is reached and fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely, then the shooting starts bigger and better and stronger than anyone has ever seen it before. It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all of the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward actually to its next conquest. He's gonna do something at the weekend. Something is gonna happen at the weekend, chat. I'm absolutely certain of it. I'm 80% certain that something is going to happen at the weekend. There is a 20% chance that something is... I don't think that they're going to have these negotiations tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen at all. Hey, Network. Hey, Susie. How you doing? Good to see you. So, 5 hours ago. This is 5 hours ago now. So, this is 2 p.m. UK time. So, that would be... 9 a.m. US Eastern Coast time. So at 9 a.m. So he was tweeting at 1 in the morning, by the way. He was tweeting at midnight, and then he was tweeting at 1 in the morning. And then he woke up at 9 and just started tweeting. I mean, he might have not slept that well in between now and then, but... So he's posting here, none of these people, including our own very disappointing NATO, understood anything unless they have pressure placed upon them. They'll rescue another lost pilot, and the Lincoln will have to self-destruct for logistical reasons. Yeah. We blew up the Lincoln. We had to get rid of it. It's an old ship, and we are getting our new Trump-class warships. Hello, Rob. How are you doing? Thank you for the 7 consecutive streams, Network. Thank you very much. Yes, hello, Rob. Hello, Trash Pando. How are you doing? I really feel like something could happen this weekend or next which breaks the weekly pattern because it can't be cleaned up before the week. Yeah, maybe. Don't know. I just think that something is going to happen this weekend. I think that they're going to try and do another ground operation or something. They might not try and do the ground operation this weekend. I do think that the ceasefire is an entire smokescreen in order to be able to just simply build up more troops in the region. Yeah, and then they could do the ground operation after that, right? My mom had dementia and was up all night and slept all day. It was miserable as she lived with me. I think their clocks get turned around. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think that does happen. But maybe he's not quite there yet. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is Mark Rutte. He was on CNN yesterday, and this is a Sky News report. So I don't know how it's gonna go. Is it Sky News Australia? What even is this? This is Sky News Australia. Okay, all right. Let's take a little look at this.
The world safer today than it was before the war was started?
Absolutely. Because, and this is thanks to President Trump's leadership, degrading these capabilities is really very important for your and my safety here in the US, in Europe, in the Middle East.
Explain how. Hey Ethia, how you doing? Daddy's home. Never forget, chat, Daddy's home. Following the hours-long behind-closed-door meeting, Rutte appeared on CNN's The Lead with anchor Jake Tapper. Hell yeah, dude. This is going to be so good. This is going to be so sick. Wait, hang on a minute. Are Sky News doing these kinds of... No, okay, they're going to show a bit of the interview. They are going to show a bit of the interview. Just show us the fucking interview, dude.
And Trump, he's not been hiding his frustrations with NATO countries. How was the meeting? Did he say he's withdrawing?
Well, let me be absolutely clear. He is clearly disappointed, with.
Hey, Gummy Mama, how you doing?
And I can see his point, but at the same time, I was also able to point to the fact that the large majority of European nations has been helpful with basing, with logistics, with overflights, with making sure that they lived up to the commitments, and there is also widespread support for the fact that degrading the nuclear and the ballistic missile capacity from Iran was really crucial.
Right, but all that's not happened, so what did you really talk about, dude?
And that only the US was able at this point to do that.
Yes, this is the guy that called Trump daddy. He said, Daddy's home. And we're going to see him answer questions about that in a little minute. Isn't that good? Isn't that fun? Won't that be fun? To hear a journalist actually confront him with that. Come on, I just want to see fucking footage, man. I hate Sky News doing this shit.
Is a reported 10-point plan that Iran proposed to end the war. Now, Mark Stone from our colleagues at Sky in the UK spoke to President Donald Trump overnight about the negotiations and has this report now from Washington.
That J.D. Vance, the Vice President, who's currently in Europe, will head to Pakistan. Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's sort of chief negotiator on so many different issues, will be there as well. That's going to be a very, very important moment. And at the very heart of it, and what I got into very briefly on the phone with the president last night, is this issue of the 10-point plan. It's really important because when President Trump announced the ceasefire overnight, he said that the Iranian 10-point plan was a workable plan to begin negotiations. The Iranians then published that plan. The Supreme National Security Council in Iran and
also
the foreign minister both published or alluded. Well, the foreign minister alluded to the plan. The National Security Council then published it, and it was the maximalist demands of Iran, stuff that the Americans could never ever agree to, like all American troops withdrawing permanently.
Damn, that's crazy, chat. That's so weird. Is it, you know, again, isn't it almost like Iran are calling America's bluff? Isn't that wild? Isn't that so wild?
From their bases across.
By the way, Hormuz Strait is still closed. By the way, oil prices. Let's check those. Let's see where oil prices are. Could still be falling. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like they went up a little bit earlier today, and they went down a bit, and they're going up a bit. That's you could see the pattern, right? You could see the pattern. It's what I was saying yesterday. Says there's going to be a huge development in the war. We've won. It's victory. There's uncertainty about it, so the price slowly climbs back up. And then all of a sudden, something insane happens and it peaks again. So, yeah, we could expect that this weekend, right? We could expect that this weekend. Fascinating stuff.
Like the Strait of Hormuz being controlled by Iran, something that's never happened before, but Iran apparently seems to think it can happen now, and all sanctions being removed. All of these issues, apparently, President Trump was prepared to discuss, which seemed extraordinary. I put that to him last night, and he said, you haven't seen the plan. The plan you think is on the table is not the real plan. I've seen the plan. The points in it are good, and in fact, he said many of them are negotiated, which seemed remarkable. The call wasn't long enough to be able to get more from him on that, but Caroline Leavitt did go into a bit more detail, and she said that the plan that they are working with is an entirely different and condensed plan from the one the Iranians are talking about publicly.
Yeah, and, you know, that's not that much more detail, right? It's not that much more detail. That's just Caroline Leavitt being like, "Yep, no, we're not doing the Iranian one. We're just not doing it." Hey, Yui, how's it going? We're not doing the Iranian plan. We're doing our own plan. We're gonna do what we want. We've had a ceasefire, but we're gonna negotiate with them. But Iran won't negotiate. The cold hard reality of it is that Iran won't negotiate on the predication of they don't agree with any of the points that are presented in their 10-point plan, right? You know, and again, chat, this plan was provided by Iran. If the US wants a ceasefire with us, they have to do these things. That's what it is, right? That is what it is. That's what the plan is. It wasn't a plan where Iran was begging for a ceasefire. It was a plan where they said, if the US wants a ceasefire, they have to do these things, and then we'll do it. Right? Hey, Atomic, how's it going? I really hope they stand their ground and don't fold. Well, they haven't folded because they closed the Strait of Hormuz again. It's closed. The strait is closed. It's closed off. You know, so you don't need to worry about that. They're making good on their promises, and this is what Iran have just said that they're going to do, and they are continuing to do it. We've totally negotiated a plan that's completely different from what the people we negotiated with are saying. Yeah, and also there's been no negotiations. There's been like a phone call. That's it. You mean about the negotiations? They won't be going to the negotiations. They won't. It's not going to happen. I think that that's what's going to happen. I think that in the morning, there's going to be a report where Steve Witkoff or someone says, oh, well, Iran didn't turn up to the negotiations, so I guess we got to start bombing them again. And then the fucking price of oil is going to go up, and then it's going to get to the end of the day, and then they're going to be like, right, it's fucking operation time. It's just that. 3 ships got through before it closed again. I think it was 2. Actually. Why put out a fake plan? Yeah, it is a question, isn't it? A question to be asked. Why would they put out a fake plan? Well, the answer to that is that they didn't.
The point of all this, Ali, is that there are two...
JD Vance will never do a proper day's work in his life. Very true.
Both the Americans and the Iranians are presenting this as one...
Thank you for the 20 consecutive stream watch, Atomic.
One side
Let's go.
has capitulated significantly. It's just trying to work out which one it is.
Part of the alleged plan was the suspension of Israel's attack on Lebanon, but US Vice President J.D. Vance recently shut down those claims. Yeah, so did Caroline Leavitt, and so did fucking Trump. It's over, man. It was over before it even happened. You know what I mean?
These talks to bring a complete end to the war will begin in Pakistan this weekend. And who will be there?
Remember, I'm just a small bean in the country of Cheeto, baby. I looked at independent media like you to not just get the American narrative. Am I independent media? I'm just a streamer. I'm just a streamer guy. You're a small bean. I'm a small bean. We're both small beans, all huddled together in a pod. Don't worry about it. I mean, the reason that I'm saying that is because this is all stuff. If I could get this information, you could get this information, right? You know. Hello, Virulent. How you doing? Hello, Widow. Yeah, this is all the information that you could get. I just collate it, I guess. So, yeah. But I wouldn't call myself independent media. I just wouldn't.
None other than the Vice President.
I'm just a streamer, man.
Who's speaking live right now.
I'm just a guy who sits here and looks at different news sources and goes, what's real? That sounds real. That might be real. I don't know if this is real. Is this real? Raw small beans and a huge vat of Yemeni baked beans must try. There's Yemeni baked beans? Chat, tag what kind of bean you are. I'm a green bean, says Network. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Least that I've seen floating around. The first 10-point proposal was something that was submitted, and we think, frankly, was probably...
No, I just yell at you, Virulent.
...that was submitted to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. That immediately went
because you break the rules.
Was rejected.
That's why I yell at you. You disappoint me.
Much more reasonable, that was based on some back and forth between us, between the Pakistanis, and between the Iranians. That is the
you know I would never call myself that.
Was referencing in his truth yesterday. And then, frankly, I've seen a third 10-point proposal that's even more maximalist than the first 10-point proposal that's been floating around various social media channels. Now, here's what's interesting about all this, is that I've seen various organs, the New York Times, CNN, others, pick up and run the original 10-point proposal based on little more than a random Yahoo in Iran submitting it to public access television in the country of Iran, and then them saying that somehow represents the negotiating position of the government. It's the equivalent of somebody in, let's
I'll
say,
give it a go.
Democratic
I'll try and find it, Yui. Yeah, I think there's a Yemeni section in the World Shop in Rusholme.
Boise, Idaho, saying something crazy.
Chocolate covered coffee bean, better in concept than in execution.
The local public access TV picking up that crazy statement, and then the New York Times.
I have actually had one of those
as the
before.
Position of the President of the United States. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. What's happening on the ground in Iran is that you have clearly the position of the government, which is to negotiate with the United States of America. You have the position of the President of the United States, which is to send the negotiators to Pakistan and engage in this good faith negotiation. And then, yes, you have some crazy people at the fringes of the Iranian system who are leaking anonymously, either for propaganda purposes or because they're embarrassed or because they don't like what happened. And the final point when I...
That's great. That's so good, dude. It's so good. He's like, there are people on the fringes of the Iranian government who are leaking random things for propaganda purposes. Right, so you mean the foreign minister. You mean Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister. And you mean Pezeshkian, the president. He's on the fringes, is he? He's on the fringes. Okay. I got you, man. I got you. That's fair enough. I guess we'll just refer to you as being on the fringes of the USA administration then. Yeah? Everybody's lying except the proven liars. Hey, probably chaos. Hey, Beanie Gaby. Yeah, it's just proper good stuff, this.
They don't like what happened. What we know is that the United States accomplished its military objectives. What we know is the United States could have imposed significant additional military and economic costs on Iran and still has the capacity to do so. But we thankfully at this point, I think, have a ceasefire thanks to the leadership of the President of the United States. We have the Iranians promising to open the Straits of Hormuz, and we have a negotiation that's supposed to start this weekend. That's the truth. I think it's a good first step. We're going to see if we can make...
He lied 10 times in a row and said that's the truth. This is so good.
More progress here in the days to come.
Can I ask you about Lebanon?
Go ahead, yeah.
Because there seems to be a disagreement about whether Lebanon was included in this proposal. And the Speaker of the Parliament, who you're going to sit across from the table from in Islamabad, has just said that he thinks negotiations would be unreasonable while that war is ongoing. So would you ask Israel to hold off strikes to allow some space for these talks?
Well, first of all, I know there's been some conversations between the Israelis and the leadership of our country today. I haven't been involved in that because I've been busy doing stuff in Hungary. I'm actually supposed to get an update when I get on the plane. But let me say a couple things. First of all, I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a
bad faith negotiation. So there's negotiations that's supposed to happen tomorrow, but bad faith negotiation is already happening.
Legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused.
I mean, let's go back. Let's go back to this. Yeah. Based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we already have met and exceeded all material. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran. In the 10-point proposal from Iran, the first point is the fighting ceases on all fronts, including Lebanon. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So, you know, the weave that Trump and the administration have been doing since then is saying, no, there's a different 10-point plan, and it's our plan. But we received it from the Iranians. It's a fake plan that some of these guys are putting out. And we would never withdraw from the region, yada, yada, yada. Hey, Big Black Homer, how you doing? Draft is not a cap. We will be going through that in a minute. It's very interesting. This has been reported in multiple sources, so we'll be having a look at this later on. There has been a proposal that has been put through. So we will be taking a look at that. Let's carry on with this. Hello, Morgan.
The ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. Now, that said,
Mule, if he considered he was just joking when he said that. That's true.
When I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
Interesting. Interesting stuff. Hello, Soph. Everybody go follow Sophie, my co-host on Red Planet, one of my co-hosts. That's insane. The entire reason they got rid of the draft in the first place was because they wanted to conduct their imperial wars without the public getting up in arms against it. If you want to instantly get extremely hostile opposition, even from apolitical people, that's the way you do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. All right. We had a little bit of a report there from Sky News Australia, a little bit of an edit of things to do with Mark Rutte and NATO and JD Vance. And the supposed ceasefire. As I said, Mark Rutte did a press conference of his own. It's thankfully not as long as what you would expect. What we've come to expect from Trump and the admin and stuff. So let's take a look at this and see what he says. Didn't his tweet today say conquest? What, Trump is truth? What about what they're going to do? He did say conquest, didn't he? He was like, we're going to do conquest. He literally just truthed, we're going to do conquest. Shooting starts, bigger and better, stronger than anyone has ever seen before. Training will be over. Yeah. The military is loading up, resting, looking forward actually to its next conquest. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's right. JD Vance has date rape defense lawyer written all over every app of his being. Yeah. Hey, Connor, welcome in. Welcome in. The unholy Roman Empire, it's true. All right, let's take a look at the NATO General Secretary press conference.
Well, good morning, everybody. Yes, my name is
Good morning, you
David
cunt.
and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you today. It's really an honor to welcome each of you to the Reagan Institute, which is the Washington, D.C. home of our foundation, our Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. So here we are, just across from Lafayette Square from the White House, and while we cherish this
Imagine someone in the crowd said that.
It's not
they did, it was me.
To the place where
we're in the crowd right now.
Lived for 8 years that makes this institution so special. What is most compelling is the lasting power of President Reagan's vision and impact.
You're fucking telling me, dude. You're telling me.
That is what has drawn so many leaders and dignitaries to join us here over the years.
I'm tired, boss.
So as we start this morning, I'd like to say thank you to all of our guests for being here with us, and special thanks to Ambassador Matthew Whitaker, the U.S. Ambassador to NATO, and to the ambassadors to the United States from, get this, 17 NATO member states. I think that's an amazing turnout, and we're very grateful for it. And I also want to thank everyone here as well for their leadership and for their shared belief
Negative Riz.
In President Reagan's vision for a freer, more prosperous, and peaceful world. A peace made possible.
He's not going to fuck you, bro.
Through the strength of the United States and of our NATO alliance. For President Reagan, NATO represented, quote, a living commitment of the nations of the West to the defense of democracy and individual liberty.
The other 33 states didn't return our calls,
At times he disagreed, sometimes energetically, with other NATO leaders as they debated strategy on how to confront the Soviet Union. But NATO was an alliance he believed in deeply, saying it was at, quote, the core of America's foreign policy and of America's own security.
Yeah, that's because it's an organization literally set up to fucking combat global communism. That's why. This admin is too stupid to understand that NATO is an American tool. Yeah, no, that's the funny part about all of it, right? Like, this guy loves NATO. He's like, NATO is so good, bro. It's so good. We literally destroyed the Soviet Union, which was one of the biggest, most successful revolutions in the history of the world. They had a dictatorship of the proletariat and everything. It was real scary, bro. They had nukes and everything. And we got rid of them with NATO. And Trump's just like, NATO is a paper tiger. It's great.
Today, we gather in troubled times. From Eastern Europe to the Middle East and beyond, the lives of millions upon millions of people are at risk. And obviously, there are tough questions about the future of the alliance that has so long protected our peace, freedom, and prosperity. And among those questions, those include what is required of America and other countries in confronting the threats facing the alliance? What is the proper balance?
It's like when the people that ran the German Empire after Bismarck didn't bother to upkeep his alliances with their neighbors and led them into the First World War. Yeah, pretty similar, right?
Security and
pretty similar stuff.
In the United States and our allies. And how can we, as President
George,
Reagan
how you doing?
put it in an address to the citizens of Western Europe, quote, be strong enough, be determined enough so that no adversary would think even for a moment that war might pay. There are no simple answers, but the alliance is in good hands with Mark Rutte navigating it as the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's Secretary General. As the longest-serving Prime Minister of the Netherlands, who presided over 4 coalition governments, he developed a record and a reputation for pragmatism. A strong supporter of global and transatlantic cooperation, Secretary General Rutte also knows how to forge consensus without compromising on principle. So
like calling Trump daddy.
Consequential moment, Mr. Secretary General, we look forward to your remarks, which will be followed by a conversation with the Reagan Institute's own policy director, Rachel Hoff. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving.
He developed a reputation for being a neoliberal, an evil neoliberal centrist. It is very funny that this is happening at the Ronald Reagan Institute. It is extremely funny that this is happening at the Ronald Reagan Institute.
Introduction. Thank you so much for that, and good morning to all of you, and Good morning, ambassadors. I see so many here, so many friends. Matt Whitaker is here, ambassador of the United States to NATO, my good friend. And so many other faces I know so well, so we are among friends this morning. And it is a pleasure to be back in the United States, and particularly to be back here in Washington, D.C. And yes, I'm an admirer of the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. And I'm particularly honored to be here today at the Reagan Institute.
Cringe.
If peace is to have a chance, if the hope for freedom is to be kept alive, the United States must play a powerful and active role in world affairs.
I knew as soon as he said, if hope is to have a chance, I knew that whatever was going to come after that was going to be the worst sentence you've ever heard in your life. It's going to be the antithesis of achieving world peace and hope. It's so cringe. It's so cringe. Yeah, man. Famously, the United States, very good at achieving world peace.
When President Reagan offered those words at a gathering of the Reserve Officers Association.
Oh, those are Reagan's words.
7th, 1988. The world was a very different place. The Berlin Wall still held people's hopes and dreams captive. More than 100 million men, women, and children lived in European countries behind an iron curtain. Those differences notwithstanding, what President Reagan knew then, and what
I'm from the American government, and I'm here to help.
American leadership is absolutely essential if freedom is to be the rule and not the exception.
Well, that's the illness that is consuming all of these freaks, isn't it? In the Trump admin, in the centrist parties of Europe, and all that kind of stuff, they are all still under the illusion that neoliberalism isn't falling down all around them, and the contradictions are not getting clearer. They just think that it's totally fine. We're still in the 80s. We're actually in the 90s. We're in the prosperous era. That's what they all think, right? And it's so divorced from reality. It's so completely divorced from reality. It really does make you feel like you're going crazy. Hey, Mia, the Berlin Wall was one of the few things that stopped World War III? Yeah, exactly.
As Prime Minister of the Netherlands, and now as Secretary General of NATO, I have developed an unflinching appreciation for the value of American leadership. And yes, I was raised with Ronald Reagan. He was my youth time president, and I still remember how important he was for so many people in Europe.
Reagan was my youth time president.
The Cold War ended. It ended.
That doesn't mean anything, dude. That would be like me saying John Major was my youth time president, prime minister. Tony Blair was my youth time prime minister. What does that mean? Shut up, man.
By winning it. And it was won by Reagan and...
It's his blowbow, yeah.
Thatcher. And the two of them working in conjunction, making...
Reagan had the white man dream, destroying the lives of countless marginalized people and people licking his boots long after his dead. Yeah, for real.
And everybody in the world should be eternally grateful to that leadership.
Blairbo.
But I've also had the opportunity to reflect on...
Literal translation from Dutch from Rutte.
America's allies...
About what? What were the words he said?
Take that leadership, that US leadership, for granted. In the years following President Reagan's address to those reserve officers, as we entered the so-called end of history, while those newly free sought to pass into NATO and began to build their own capacities to contribute to our shared security, other European allies shifted away from decades of investing in conventional military partnership with the United States during the Cold War in favor of an unhealthy codependence.
What? Brother, what?
So convinced that peace was permanent and didn't demand the...
Chat, how does that make sense? Am I just tired today? He said that because NATO countries, European countries, didn't invest in American... What? Weapon manufacturing? Like... He said that they moved away. Let me hear that again. What the fuck did he say? What did he say?
Investing in conventional military partnership.
Conventional military partnerships.
During the Cold War, in favor of an unhealthy codependence.
Would it not be codependence if they did that? Sorry, am I like smoking crack or something? Hey, sloppy lobster. That boot is slapping his uvula, yeah. He is griping about them demilitarizing, but he's not saying it out loud, right? Isn't he? Yeah. Hey, Banker, how you doing? Rutte is one of the few people who has something more cringe about them than being Dutch. Yeah.
Convinced that peace was permanent and didn't demand
the Dutch
investment we now know is essential. Western European forces shrank and defense budgets shriveled into irrelevance.
Shriveled into irrelevance.
On the notion that security was just the new norm, and the United States would take care of any threats further afield, caused us Europeans to imagine that hard.
Oh, I see. That's the narrative that they're going for. It's just exactly what Trump has been saying. It's NATO countries aren't investing in their own defense. They're not putting more of their budget towards defense. They aren't buying American weapons. It's just that. He's just doing the Trump thing where Trump went around last year and he was like, you all need to up your defense spending to 5%. You got to do it. But he's worming that into this is just my own analysis. I've just done this on my own and I can see what's going on. It's like, bro, you call this guy daddy. Of course, you just fucking went to the White House, sucked him off, did the fucking, the classic, I'm just gonna say what you said, but put it in my own words and make it sound like I came up with it myself. Yeah. Hey, Blue Rose Moon. Yeah, they're saying that we need to be more pro-American. It's just what Trump is saying. It's the same shit that Trump was saying, yeah.
Power was something to be embarrassed by. A relic of a bellicose past that humankind had.
A relic.
But recent years have made abundantly clear.
I happen to agree with Daddy of my own volition. Don't worry about it.
That history is alive and kicking.
History?
That while Europe may not think in spheres of influence, countries like Russia certainly do. And we have seen that Putin is all too willing to use force to press the point. Thankfully, though, the same American leadership that set the conditions for staring down
exactly so.
Empire has helped keep the alliance, an alliance that ensured freedom and security.
I think that Rutte has like the worst job in the world right now. Because all this amounts to Trump is trying to get him to leverage NATO countries to attack Iran. That's his job. NATO countries who, under probably any other president, would have been chomping at the bit to do this, under Trump, have been like, oh, well, you can use some of our bases, but don't tell anyone, right? So, how do you do this? How does this happen? You have overwhelmingly unpopular heads of state in the UK, France, Germany, I don't know about the situation in Belgium or Netherlands, Italy, yeah, all of the sort of main 5 like big European countries. No offense to Poland or whatever, but like when I don't know much about the other countries' politics. That's the only reason that I mentioned them, right? I'm not saying one state is bigger than the other or anything like that, okay? I'm not doing British supremacy or anything. I'm not like that. Those are just the guys that I know about, right? Those are the blowbos that I know about. So, you have these overwhelmingly unpopular heads of state, and they know that if they were to join in on this overwhelmingly unpopular war, it would make things very difficult for them to remain where they are right now in charge of these big countries. So, what are you going to do to make this happen? How are you going to do it? No, I know that he's making mountains of money. That's his main job, but like, He has been tasked with this by Trump. Clearly. That's clearly what's going on. It's fine. They just become like Truss and start doing speaking tour grifts. Oh, what? Yeah, the other the heads of state and stuff. No, I know, but like, they want to stay prime minister for as long as possible because that's what gets you the big dough. Rutte is a great example of how politicians who screw over their countries hard enough with neoliberalism that they become unelectable get given cushy EU or NATO jobs. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Keir Starmer could be in this position, 1000%. Trump is now apparently trying to host a workshop at The Hague about how to repress leftists. Hell yeah, that's so sick. That's so sick. Doesn't he know that Keir Starmer is the high chief of arresting nanas? He doesn't need any of that. Keir Starmer is happy enough to arrest fucking nanas.
When the Cold War, that alliance going. Retaining the foundations and tools we need, even.
Yeah, Rutte is the Netherlands Keir Starmer, clearly.
President Trump's commitment to progress reversed more than a generation of stagnation and atrophy.
AI cameras coming soon, thankfully. Yeah, thank God. That's just what we need.
By hard power. Hard power provided not only by the United States, but through the collective effort of countries who are part of the most successful military alliance ever built.
This is so funny, dude.
The president drove allies toward a historic decision at NATO summit in The Hague last summer to invest 5% of GDP into defense. And this will help to ensure that the NATO of the future is not an alliance in which allies are unhealthily dependent on the United States and in which the United States knows that it has capable partners who are ready, willing, and able to defend our freedom and security.
This is so whack, man. He really is just desperately trying to get European countries to go to war with Iran. I just don't understand the ass kissing. It's because it's his job. Like, his job is to, like, when you're General Secretary of NATO, your boss is the United States of America. That's the thing about NATO. That's what everybody, like, really doesn't understand. Like, NATO is not this, like, free, fucking, decentralized, horizontal structure where, like, you know, a country might go, I don't want to go get involved in this war, but you lads go ahead. And that's fine. No, the fucking US is the boss. If you don't do what you're told, there are consequences, and Mark Rutte's fucking job is to go around and try and enforce that through, you know, diplomacy and chairmanism, being a chairman, I guess. You know, so yeah, that's why he's ass kicking like that. Ass kissing, not ass kicking. Framing it as dependency is so dumb. Every penny saved by demilitarization was worthwhile. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but these Warhawk fuckers don't care about any of that. Soap says, I just found out that Israeli trees are dying en masse because they planted invasive plant species over the ruins of villages to hide their crimes, and now the land itself is rejecting Zionism. Yeah, that's been happening for a long time. Yeah, there is a national park in Israel, so-called Israel, occupied Palestine. This is one of my favorite bits of information about so-called Israel, because it is just like, it's such a damning indictment of how, you know, just like a bunch of white people from Europe went to Palestine and were like, yeah, this is our land and we know how to look after it and shit. Like, literally this national park here, right, which is to the west of Jerusalem, all of this, they planted invasive plant species on. All of it. Like, pretty much fucking all of it. You know, you've got, like, this one here, Forest of the Martyrs and shit like that, and, you know, Qatar. You, like, look at the pictures, man. Like, if you look at the pictures, it's like, this is just, like, not what you would expect to see in that area, and it's like, yeah, they just planted a whole bunch of fucking invasive species and shit. I think some of it is indigenous plant stuff, but a lot of it is like just not supposed to be there at all. There's like deciduous trees and shit like that are just from Northern Europe, and you know, just like totally not from it. Like you can even kind of tell with the way that some of the, like the way that they're planted, it looks too uniform. It doesn't look like a messy natural forest, right? You know, and yeah, of course they are literally rejected by the land because they're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be there. The land itself rejected it. Yeah. Yeah, they're in uniform rows, yeah. Hey, Grandpa says, hey, Loki human. Yeah, planted a bunch of invasive trees, literally symbolism, making it more like home for them. Correct, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's carry on with this.
Those investments are already laying the foundation for a stronger Europe in a stronger NATO, for a genuine partnership and the security that our freedom deserves. These investments are crucial. And allies are moving quickly to secure the budgets, grow their armed forces, and field the capabilities we know we need.
Hey Liz, what's up?
With this progress, it is clear we will need more. More high-end, exquisite capabilities to defend against modern missiles our adversaries are employing against Kiev and Tel Aviv. More scalable...
Whoa. What did he say?
More high-end, exquisite capabilities to defend against the modern missiles our adversaries are employing against Kiev and Tel Aviv.
Kiev and Tel Aviv. It's beautiful. It's like they rhyme. They just rhyme. Beautiful. It's almost like it was meant to be. It's almost like it was meant to be. It's almost like when Zelensky said, "We will be the Israel of Europe." It's almost like that was the plan, right? That's crazy. Wow. The world is run by chumps and cowards. Yes, it is.
Adaptable drone interceptor technology. And here, Ukraine's...
He planned that line 3,000 years ago, yeah.
...are saving lives beyond its own borders. At this moment, allies on NATO's eastern flank and our dear friends in the Gulf are defending against Russian and Iranian drones.
Israel and the US started an illegal war and massacred children. Yeah, but they're our friends, Sophie. They're our friends. Our adversaries are targeting Tel Aviv. They're targeting Tel Aviv. Israel isn't in NATO. What the fuck is he saying? Yeah, but the thing is that Israel is in NATO. They just don't say it. That's the thing. Israel is literally in NATO, but unofficially. Because Israel is an arm of empire. Like they say it. They say it often. They often say it. They often say, we need to defend Tel Aviv. We need to defend Israel. You know, NATO spokespeople. And that is just it. Like, NATO is, like, the best. Like, if you wanted, you know, like, I guess if you are just sort of, like, not knowledgeable about geopolitics, and you know a tanky like me says something like the Imperial Core, and you go, hang on a minute, like what does that mean? Like the Imperial Core, then you explain it's like, well, it's all these countries that are beholden to empire, and they like have borders around them, like hard borders to stop migrants getting in, and you know they collaborate with stopping migrants from getting in, and they also have military partnerships and shit like that, right? And it can get a bit difficult to understand because you start to think like, oh, well, Japan is part of the Imperial Core, and so is Australia, South Korea. You know, there are certain countries that are like, you know, in the Philippines that collaborate and stuff. So are they part of the Imperial Core and this, that, and the other? But the easiest way to understand the empire when we're talking about the Imperial Core, the imperialist empire of white supremacist capitalist hegemony, it's NATO. And, of course, Israel is an extension of that. Israel is a colony of that. It's a colony in the Middle East in order to destabilize the Middle East so that we can, you know, control the flow of oil, right? Hey, Jugash, how you doing?
Part to Ukrainian technology that did not exist even 1 year ago. So this
man is reborn in every life as an impotent worm, yeah. No, it is fucked, Soph, yeah.
And allow me here to applaud President Trump for his...
Yo, Devin, thank you so much for the year. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the year-long sub. Everybody should go follow What's Left After as well. another great lefty streamer, based in the USA, does a lot of good commentary on US politics and whatnot. Chat, don't forget, I've been streaming for an hour now. This is my full-time job. Please consider giving me money. We are on the 9th of the month. It will be halfway through the month on Wednesday next week. It'd be great to get to the halfway point of the dono goal. In order to hit that, we need to get £150 in donos and what is that? 16 subs in order to get to the halfway point. So please consider subbing either off Twitch. There is literally an ad playing right now. If you want to miss those ads, please consider subscribing. If you want to support the stream, hit someone up in the chat who doesn't have a sub, because they will be watching ads now and they'll be like, no, I can't watch the djmuel stream. This sucks. If we hit the £700 donor goal for the month, this month, I will be watching the entire election proceedings on May the 7th next month for the local council elections and Holyrood and Senate elections here in the UK. It's kind of like the midterms. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're in the US, if you're outside of the UK, it's kind of like a midpoint in a government where it basically Labour are going to get humiliated, so I'm going to stay up all night and we're going to watch the election stuff, okay? The election results, yeah? That's the incentive. And that's the call to action. If you can't do that, if you can't afford to support me, don't worry about it. I got loads of socials that you could go and support. I got loads of YouTube channels that you could go and look at. I just put a new YouTube video out on my Clips channel, and it's it's about the stream that we did 2 days ago when we were all sat here going, is Trump going to use a nuke? And I was going, no, he isn't. And then I was proved right. Do you remember that? Remember that? It was good, that, wasn't it? So there you go. That's that. And you can also retweet the Go Live tweet or repost the Go Live post on Blue Sky, and maybe some more people will come into the stream. And there you go. So there's the call to action. Done. Let's carry on.
United States, and this is just an example.
Did it say hi, Zugash? Welcome in.
Just announced a framework agreement to triple production of certain types of Patriot missiles. And this is absolutely crucial.
That's so good, dude. Oh, that's so good. Let me take a moment to applaud President Trump for demanding that weapons manufacturers, Liz, with the Prime sub, you fucking legend.
Less than 3.
Chat, it's a hype train. You know the score. We're pausing the news. For those of you that hate Mark Rutte, don't worry about it. We're going to listen to some tunes and pretend it's not happening. Long as the hype train goes on.
The government knows. The government knows. The government knows.
The longer we listen to tunes. We got 4 minutes and 20.
Knows when you masturbate. The government knows when you feel alone and it's getting late and you're sitting at home, looking straight through your webcam, looking at you as Uncle Sam. Look him in the eyes with your balls.
Hey Crescent, how's it going? Welcome in.
Stare at the screen when you
Hunter Biden's bathroom, what's up?
Staring back. This is how they know you best, with a dick in your right and a mouse in your left. No more interest in the Middle East, so they look at you while you touch your meat. In the middle of a truce, they put the equipment to the use. Why you think you pay the tax for drones and spies computer hacks? Tax has gone through the roof, at least it's put to good use. The government knows. The government knows. The government knows when you masturbate. The government knows when you're whacking it. The government knows when you feel alone and it's getting late and you're sitting at home. They fill the sky full of drones to check on you and your bone. Size don't matter to the sea.
More like Mark Rutte less. Oh my god. Come on. Hey, Alyssa, how you doing? Liz, thank you so much for the 5 months of Prime. As a Native American indigenous person, I hate thinking about moving out of the States, but I'm considering it. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it, Liz. It sucks.
And it's getting late, and you're sitting at home, looking straight through your webcam, looking at you as Uncle Sam. Look him in the eyes with your balls.
Sending you all the love.
In the zone, weird look on your face. This is how you're stored in their database. They're all around, they're all knowing. The only
Yo, what's left happening with the £3? Let's fucking go. Thank you for enacting the Helvetica scenario. Big tune inside. Chat, you want to listen to more tunes? Get subbing, get gifting subs, get donating bits in the chat. Push the hype train on and on and on. We got another 2 minutes to go on the hype train. Will it just be this tune? Will we listen to a next tune? It's all up to you. Big tune inside. Titan Trans, welcome in. Welcome into the hype train.
Masturbate.
Huge tune. We have got how long left on the hype train? Another minute, chat. Are we gonna get it extended? That is the question. We're in sudden death mode. 50 seconds for a next sub to come in. I reckon 3 subs will probably do it to extend the hype train and we can listen to more tunes. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. We could go back to the news. I don't mind doing the analysis, listening to Mark Rutte talk about daddy. I'm not bothered. I'm easy. It's our stream, comrade. 20 seconds. Is it gonna happen? And 10. And 5. And that's it. We're back to the news. All right. Thank you very much for the little mini hype train. Really appreciate that. Liz and Devon, thank you so much for the subs. Thank you for the 5 months, Liz. Thank you for the 12 months, Devon. All right, let's crack on. Where are we up to? Mark Rutte.
Last week, just announced a framework agreement to triple production of certain types of Patriot missiles.
Yeah, he did say that, Vod. He did say that. He said, it's so good that the United States president tripled production of Patriot missiles. That's so good, dude.
This is absolutely crucial.
It's crucial.
And it's another example of American leadership. And it is
it's not an example of American leadership. It just isn't. Like, if it's a death cult, then yeah. If we're talking any kind of leadership for a prosperous future, then no. Did we do that? Do we have the machinery? Here's the funny thing about that. Yes and no. Like, no, Lockheed Martin can't speed up production and triple production of Patriot missiles. It just can't happen because the capitalist mode of production doesn't allow for that kind of thing. Right? It just doesn't allow for that kind of thing. They produce a certain amount each year in order to maximize profits and keep production costs down. Right? So if they're trying to keep production costs down, they don't want to spend more on production. It would be antithetical to the entire model. So, you know, this kind of thing only works if you have a nationalized, subsidized, indigenous weapons manufacturing industry that is, completely tied to the state. And, how the fuck did they triple it? No. This is the thing. They didn't. like when I say that they did yes and then no, what I mean is that in principle they were like, well, I suppose we will. I suppose we'll have to. But the reality on the ground is that they can't do that. They tried to take it back from Poland and give it to Israel. Did they not successfully do that? I thought they successfully did that. Yeah, no, it's total smoke. Yeah, absolutely. And they also took missiles from South Korea, in case anyone missed that as well. So South Korea now has no missiles to defend it against the evil North Korea, which was, of course, always threatening an invasion of South Korea, weren't they? That's a joke, in case you don't get my dry humor. No, they weren't. So, yeah. I thought Poland told them to fuck off. I mean, they could have done, but that's very funny if they did. That's extremely funny if Poland told them to fuck off. Because even South Korea couldn't do that.
To refilling our magazines and building the arsenal of freedom.
The arsenal of freedom.
As I look towards the Ankara summit, I'm confident NATO collectively and allies individually will similarly act to break down barriers and unleash the potential of defense industry on both sides of the Atlantic. So the money is flowing. Industry and government will cooperate to ensure that money translates into the capabilities we need. Why then?
Meanwhile, Vance isn't interfering in the Hungary election. Apparently, I heard that support for Viktor Orban went down by like a solid 3% after meeting with JD Vance. Is that real? This is such bollocks. Who the fuck speaks like this? It's not 1941. He is Hitler. He is Hitler. Like, these people are Hitler. Like, it's important to remember that, you know?
In their stomach about the future of the transatlantic alliance. Why? When we turn on our televisions or
the JD bump,
do we see eager early drafts of NATO's obituary? Let me be clear.
This is so good. He said draft as well, by the way, chat.
On our televisions or scroll on our phones, do we see eager early drafts of NATO's obituary?
Eager early drafts of NATO's obituary. He's so mad. He's so mad that there are people like you and me, chat, or like going on our TikToks and being like, I can't wait for the end of NATO. He's mad as hell about that. I'm going to make more anti-NATO content just because I know it winds him up. And also it's because the USA is saying they might pull out this. Yeah, there's this big thing that he's missing here where like they've been talking about how they hate NATO, about how the USA thinks that NATO is a paper tiger and it's useless and pointless. So this is like a double-edged loaded dog shit here, right? You know, he's been tasked by Trump to try and get NATO countries to go to war with Iran, but also simultaneously it's entirely in his interests to make sure that the American president doesn't continue these anti-NATO tirades, which could end up being you know, the end of NATO. Double-edged dog shit. That's it. It's double-edged dog shit. Someone got dog shit, refined it down into a fucking blade, and made it double-edged. You know, it's not a saber. It's a broadsword of dog shit.
Let me be clear. This alliance is not whistling past the graveyard, as you would say in the United States.
It's not whistling past the graveyard.
Allies recognize that
the NATO alliance is not. Listen, my NATO alliance is not whistling past a graveyard t-shirt is raising a lot of questions already answered by my NATO alliance is not whistling past a graveyard t-shirt.
And I recognize we are in a period of profound change in the transatlantic alliance.
Legally, Trump can't withdraw from NATO without an act of Congress. Do you know like a different guy? Do you know like a different guy that we know or something? Yeah, legally, you might be right. Legally, on paper, that's not going to stop him. There's a couple of things he's done without consulting Congress recently. In fact, there was a Supreme Court ruling that happened a couple of weeks ago, and he just went, I don't care about that, and he just kept doing the thing that the Supreme Court said he couldn't do. You know, it's not going to make a fucking shot of difference. Madness, absolute madness. When has the law ever applied to Trump? Exactly. It's just, yeah, it's so mad. It's bad enough it's dragging us down to you guys don't need to come with us. I mean, look, like I don't take any pleasure in talking about the way in which the United States is, in decline. Like the empire is in decline. I do take pleasure in that, but in terms of like the people in the country, the United States, you have my utmost sympathies and solidarity. And the only thing that I could say to you is the thing that I say every stream, which is you need to organize. If you haven't already, join a tenants union, join a trade union, for whatever trade you are in the profession of. Join a nice community defense organization. There will be one in your local area. Get involved, help out. That's the best way to do stuff. It's the best way to do things. And things will escalate from there, and things will build from there in terms of building the dual power systems that are needed when the government eventually decides that it doesn't want to look after the people at all anymore and descends into some kind of, it's already a police state, but the benefit that yous have got is that it's wholly incompetent, right? And workers and working people are able to build competent power structures, and it has happened before, and it'll happen again. And the main thing that I'd say to people in the USA is that you got to get it done, because if you're not lucky, there's going to be... this will happen. There will be a dual power structure that happens, and there will be a new mode of government in America that will be work-around. The question is, will it be Nazbols? Will it be the American Communist Party freaks or whatever? It's not American Communist Party, is it? What am I thinking about? The MAGA communist guys? Has and all those freaks? Shit like that? Hype for the decline, not so much for the whole world falling down a flight of stairs that it entails, yes. Dual power is what the cool kids are doing, exactly.
Europe is assuming a greater and fairer share of the task of providing for its conventional defense. And from that, there will be no going back, and nor should there be.
Okay.
This is a move from unhealthy codependence to a transatlantic alliance grounded in true partnership.
Uh-huh.
For increased investments and improved production to matter, they must be accompanied by a mindset shift. That mindset shift is well underway. But these shifts are often only fully appreciated with the benefit of time. And the space between can be precarious. Let's consider the most recent events. When it came time to provide the logistical and other support the United States needed in Iran, some allies were a bit slow.
Hell yeah, dude. This is so good. I think this is fine. This is fine. I'm not concerned about this guy in any way, shape, or form. There's no way that this fucking haunted pencil, Jacob Rees-Mogg ass looking motherfucker is going to convince Pedro Sanchez that he made the wrong decision. There's no way that people are going to look at this guy and go, you know what? I made the wrong decision. I don't even think Keir Starmer, because even though Keir Starmer is more involving us in the war than he's letting on, I don't think he would be able to convince Keir Starmer to do more, actually. Even Keir fucking Starmer. And that's saying quite a lot, right? I don't think that Mark Rutte going around to the fucking heads of state of the European countries in NATO and being like, you need to provide more logistical support for this incredibly unpopular war. Think about Daddy. What would Daddy say? I don't think that's going to make a difference, dude. Like, what is the incentive? What is the incentive? Everybody with an ounce. Germany, listen, here's the thing, chat. Trump said that they asked Germany to support them in the so-called extraction mission that supposedly happened last weekend, which it wasn't an extraction mission. It was a fucking failed operation to try and seize enriched uranium. He said that he asked Germany to help him out with what was happening, and they said, we can't tell you what the plan is. And Germany were like, well, we're not going to help you then, bro. Like, that's just how this shit works. The extraction cock up, yeah. It's mad. You know, there is no incentive for these, like every single one of these countries probably has intelligence to say the US is doing very, very badly in this, and we should just, the play is to stay on the sidelines and ride it out. And if things get bad, we should probably just start to trade with China. Yes, please provide 30 light infantry to soak up return fire. Yeah, a real incentive for the fucking, you know, allied vassal states of the European Union. Hey Val, back from a tenants union branch meeting. Let's fucking go. That's what I want to be seeing in the chat every single time when someone comes in. I'm just back from my tenants union meeting. I'm just back from doing an eviction resistance from my neighbor. I'm just back from doing a strike. I'm just back from negotiating with my boss. I'm just back from doing some ICE community defense. By this time next year, everyone in the chat is going to be saying this. Be saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I've just been to my community center. We've already got a number of people in the chat who are doing this.
To say the least. In fairness, they were also a bit surprised. To maintain the element of surprise for the initial strikes, President Trump opted
oh my god, the screen failed behind him.
Allies ahead of time, and I understand that.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Here we go.
To maintain the element of surprise for the initial strikes, President Trump opted not to inform allies ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm sure their allies. I'm sure the allies were surprised. What you are implying by that, yeah? What you are implying by that is that there would be no operational security happening between NATO allies. Hey Threads, how's it going? Are you also back from your tenant union meeting? Let's fucking go. Let's go, Threads. Yeah, would have been cool if we're at the same meeting. Hell yeah. I'm a union rep and I just came back from holding a union meeting, not Canadian by any chance. Oh my god, all the fucking union heads in the chat. The real fucking commies in the chat. Let's go! Chat, there's nothing that excites me more than seeing my fucking community organizing. I swear to God, honestly. There's just nothing that brings me more joy.
I understand that. But what I see when I look across Europe today is allies providing a massive amount of support, basing, logistics and other measures to ensure the powerful US military succeeds in denying Iran a nuclear weapon and degrading its capacity to export chaos.
There's just nothing to say that that's true. There's just nothing. This is just all such fucking bluster and nonsense.
Nearly without exception.
It is a speech for Trump and no one else, yeah.
States is asking.
You couldn't go today because you've been ill the past couple of days? Oh, I'm sorry to hear it. Don't feel bad.
President Trump's request. The United Kingdom is leading a coalition of countries that are aligning the military, the political, and the economic tools.
I'm not joking either. I was in a union meeting before I popped in. Yes! Not just in a union meeting before you popped in, but also came in and dropped a 12-month sub. It just doesn't get any much better than that. Star chatter. Absolute gold star chatter right there.
That will be required.
Anadono as well.
Free passage through the Strait of Hormuz. This is evidence of a mindset shift. And right now, European allies play leading roles in NATO's operations to secure our eastern flank, the Baltic Sea, and the Arctic, acting rapidly to field...
At our last convention, our in-house lawyer gave a presentation on the lack of success workers have in using legislation to achieve their goals. He quoted Marx, Lenin, and Mao without attributing them. He later told me he does that so he can suss out the comrades. Hell yeah! And also, you know, people do that in order to not freak normies out, right? Because you could say as much as you like shit about fucking Gary's Economics, right? Oh yeah, get your normal mates to watch fucking Gary's Economics, and he'll tell them what's what. And it's like, what does fucking Gary's Economics say? He says, here's what economics is. And it's nothing radicalizing at all. It doesn't radicalize fucking anybody because he's not a fucking Marxist. He doesn't have any Marxist understanding of economics. He doesn't talk about a Marxist analysis of economics. He doesn't talk about capitalism or neoliberalism or anything like that. He just is like, money, right? What the money is, yeah, is like, what you do, yeah, is you like, you have money, right? The bank make money, right? And then it'll give you money in it, and then the amount of money that's out there is the same as what's in there, and that's nothing. It's fucking nothing, man. But the way that you fucking radicalize normies is you say radical statements with them in an organizing environment where they're all fucking together because of their material conditions getting worse. And you just like say Marxist shit to them without going, that's from Marx, you know, or like Mao said that, you know. You just say this shit, and they go, yeah, that sounds about right. Boom, fucking done. Hey, Master Chef. Yeah, no, I've watched so much fucking Gary's Economics. It's just painful. It's totally painful. I actually have something fucking loaded up if we've got time for it, but I don't think we'll have time for it today. It's fucking Gary's Economics on the Iran war. The Iran economic shock is coming. How to protect yourself. And I guarantee, mate, this video is literally just going to be... It's just going to be him saying, like, you should invest. How to trade in this crisis. He's literally got a section called How to Trade in This Crisis. That's mad, bro. How to trade in this crisis is so mad. I knew it was going to be a bad video, but...
Snel, aircraft, naval vessels and more to bolster our security.
Hey, Frazo, how you doing?
Threats in these regions.
I wasn't at a uni meeting, but I was teaching my kid how to make a Molotov. Fucking hell yeah.
31s crossed the Estonian airspace last fall. It was European aircraft. Italians in the...
What you want to do, yeah? You want to buy some fucking... You want to get in on the oil shots. So whenever Trump makes a tweet, yeah? And like... It'll say, there's a ceasefire, you sell your fucking stocks rapid, bro. That's what you do, innit? That's just all that video is going to be. It's just utterly mental.
Elite backed up by Finns and Swedes. That turned them back.
Listen, I always knew that Gary's Economics was a fucking load of shit. From like the first fucking video I watched of his, I was like, that's mad. At the trade part, he doesn't even tell you what tricks to do. He just tells you you're too poor to trade. Nah! I fucking hate this cunt, man. I hate that, like, right, listen, I guess, I don't know, man. I've come across people in the organizing scene that I know who have actually said this shit to me, and it winds me up so much. It winds me up so much. I'm like, you've never watched any of his videos, have you? And often they'll be like, no, I haven't actually. Like, well, I have. I'm your fucking local independent media. Someone in the chat said I was independent media before. You know? Isn't Gary all about taxing the rich and redistributing their wealth to the poor? It's not that simple. He doesn't have a Marxist understanding of that kind of thing. He's just about like taxing the rich. It's just like, yeah, we should have a wealth tax. A wealth tax would be really good because we could fund public services. That's great. That's a great start. But guess what? Hitler said that shit. So, you know, what's next? What's the next bit? What's the next bit? Is he going to talk about a dictatorship of the proletariat? Is he going to talk about redistributing his own wealth? Is he going to redistribute his own wealth? You know?
Russian drones wandered.
If you don't go as far as being a Marxist, it's not enough. No, what I'm saying is that you can't radicalize a normie into being a fucking organizing communist, anti-imperialist, someone who's ready to actually do the organizing and do the work to get us a dictatorship of the proletariat. You don't get that by just being like, tax the rich. You don't get that. And taxing the rich is just nothing, especially when he says things like you don't need to engage in conversations with racists about how they're racist. We don't need to address racism. It's not that much of a problem, right? He's got shit politics. That's it. He's got shit politics. It's baby's first politics.
At the same time, I'm proud to say it was a Dutch F-35 that fired the shot that took down the danger.
Yes, taxing the rich implies the continued existence of the rich. That's the key takeaway.
Secretary Rubio is spot on when he says that an alliance cannot be a one-way.
And yeah, exactly. Most normies agree with taxing the rich. It's not something that needs to be conveyed to normal people. Most normal people, if you speak to them, like, don't you think if you earn loads of money, you should pay a bit more tax? Everyone will be like, yeah. because everyone pays tax and everyone hates it, right? It's dead simple. It's not even that hard.
Street. It was not a one-way alliance when US, European and Canadian troops fought
exactly 100% tax on the rich.
Shoulder in Afghanistan. And I'm heartened by the knowledge.
It's not as much about bringing the poor up as it is about bringing the rich down. Yeah, absolutely. There should be no inequality in society.
That every day, as we speak, the US, European and Canadian troops continue to train and deploy in support of our shared security. I'm confident that a stronger Europe and a stronger NATO will not take US leadership for granted. On the 40th anniversary of D-Day in 1984, standing atop the cliffs at Pointe du Hoc, where the US 2nd Ranger Battalion had fought to carve out a toehold on the continent, President Reagan offered an apt reflection. It is good and fitting to renew our commitment to each other, to our freedom, and to the alliance that protects it. NATO is changing, thanks to American leadership and a collective commitment to ensuring continued freedom and security. NATO is growing stronger. Thanks to the mindset shift that...
Well, at least you admit that. Dude, you're acting like you've got me in some kind of ideological corner here. I just said there should be no inequality in society, and you're like, well, at least you admit it. Yeah, like, what do you think? This is some kind of gotcha? I don't understand. Like, what do you mean, dog? By the way, you know, we're still awaiting your response from the chatter last night who said they recognize that you've been around a couple of the leftist streams recently. Sweeping around, sweeping hard. And then you said, don't recognize you, sorry, and left the chat last night. And now you're back being like, well, at least you admit that. At least you admit that. You just admitted it. You just admitted it. You just admitted it. Nothing? No? Okay.
Is happening. I see a true partnership on the transatlantic horizon. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted, Reagan famously said. As we brave this new path before us, I'm confident that together, the United States...
Rajith Patel, 1998, I would love to engage with you in some kind of, you know, actual good faith manner. Yes, you're from India. Don't be racist, pasty white, pale white boy. What don't you understand? It's your kind that started the war. You get banned in here because you're fucking misogynist. You're a freak misogynist. I wouldn't mind any of this shit if you weren't a fucking misogynist. You're a misogynist and you're ban evading. That's it. The last time you came in the stream, you were like, can you give me any tips to fuck white women? You're a misogynist. Sorry, dude. And no, I can't. I'm painfully fucking celibate at the minute, actually. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't. Hey, Lil Zipper, did you see that Melania held a press conference to say she has no connection with Epstein? Hell yeah, dude. That's so sick. Oh, yes. This is so good. Oh, this is so good, dude. Oh, yes. I love it, man. Marxists would often rather bring down everyone's standard of living down in the goal of eating the rich instead of improving the conditions of all. Yes, that's what Marxists... That's what we want, isn't it? Yes. You're right. You're right. That's what I want. That's exactly what I said, isn't it? That's exactly what I said. Hello, Apple Chips. Job creator believer. So true, bestie.
And its allies in NATO will deliver on our shared commitment to securing our freedom today.
Marxists also like to put on a funny voice to try and discredit a point instead of actually refuting the point. Brother, this isn't like a chat room with just me and you. Yeah? I would love it if that's what this was about. I don't know if you've noticed, right? But there isn't like a big thing on my screen here that says, debate me now. Debate my opinions. Prove me wrong. Yeah? My stream says there's a draft that's going to happen in December in the USA, which you're probably in, actually. You're going to have to go and die for Israel, dog. Do you want to hear me talk about that and why that's bad? Or do you want to sit here and be like, I've completely correctly assessed your politics and I've decided that you are the bad guy. Prove me wrong. Lol, you can't. All you do is put on a funny voice. I put on a funny voice, chatter, because the chat loves it, actually. That's why I do that. Because the chat actually enjoys it. It's fun. It's fun for us to take the piss out of you. And also, we've heard this many, many times. You are not some kind of unique thinker. You are literally an NPC parroting the same point over and over again. That's all that's happening. You know? I actually can't learn without a funny voice. Exactly. You know? It's not a funny voice, it's just from Manchester. I do actually put on like a more mank voice sometimes to do that. Yeah.
Tomorrow and well beyond. Thank you.
Why are they applauding that?
Please welcome to the stage Policy Director of the Ronald Reagan Institute, Miss Rachel Hoff.
Well, thank you so much.
Hey Krill, are they actually registering people for the draft now? No, it's going to be in December. They've got the proposal for it now. We're going to have a look at it in a minute. I like the funny voices, but especially your impersonation of Trump. Thank you, Susie. Thank you. Willow Treason says, I won a case that's been hanging over my head for months today. Thank you for keeping me company on the long ass journey home. Yay, good to hear it. I'm happy to hear it, Willow. Good for you. That is going to turn their base against them, make it real for them? Yeah. No, for real. Yeah. It's mad. Sorry, I've just come back from a meeting. Do we think the draft registering in December is going to immediately lead to it being activated? Kind of an obvious question, but I want to know where we're at. To be honest, Network, I've not even started covering it yet. So, we'll have a look at it in a minute, yeah?
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary General, for those remarks and for being with us here at the Reagan Institute today. It's a real honor to host you during your visit to Washington.
No, it's all right, Network. We'll have a look at it together in a minute.
And in particular, you've already addressed, as we say in the U.S., the elephant in the room, about the knot in the stomach, about the future of the transatlantic relationship and the NATO.
Yeah, man, we've all got a knot in our stomach about that. we've all got a knot in our stomach. I'm losing so much sleep for it. I'm not sleeping well at the moment at all thinking about NATO. NATO is the thing that is making my sleep very bad. Oh no, NATO's in trouble. Anyway.
NATO alliance. Understanding, of course, that with your visit to the White House yesterday, your meetings with President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, of course, in many ways, diplomatic conversations must remain private in a certain extent in order to work. But what can you share with us from those conversations as we think about the future of the alliance?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as they would say in diplomatic circles, these conversations were frank and open. Which is good.
Candid. I mean, they may have been
candid. They even were candid, frank and open. But
what the fuck is happening, dude?
It's good, because we are amongst friends here. I mean, the president, myself, we like each other. We are good friends for many years now. And I'd rather have the conversation on the table instead of tiptoeing around it. I sensed his disappointment about the fact that...
You sensed his... Brother! You are not some kind of Trump whisperer. It's right there, 20 fucking hours ago. NATO wasn't there and we needed them. They won't be there, we need them again. Remember Greenland, the big bullerin piece of ice. And then fucking like 2 fucking days before. What was the other thing that he said? Fake news, fake statement, official statement of Iran, Shahbaz Sharif. He was going off on NATO the other day as well. He's been going off on NATO for the last fucking 2 weeks. Oh my God. All he did a few days ago was just like endorse a bunch of candidates on his fucking Truth Social page. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. He does care about the midterms. He does care about the midterms. Yeah, you don't think it's gonna happen, Liz? I think it probably won't, but it is just like it's just another rake that he's standing on, right? Oh my God, look at all these fucking endorsement posts. Chat, this is fucking nuts. Did he just like copy and paste? He did the tweet about Iran and then did a bunch of endorsement posts. That's fucking crazy. That doesn't even look like him. Wait, what do you mean soon? Why is he posting this? Why is he posting? Why is he posting a weird fucking photoshopped or AI baby with his hair that some guy has just, Colonel MAGA Mark has just done soon, laughing face, with a reply included from whale psychiatrist TM, laughing face. Because he is a baby. I like how he Facebook posts in between announcing war crimes. I'm never gonna forget this for as long as I live, chat. It's utterly nutty, dude. I can't even get off this post. It's such a badly made website. Oh, here we go. I am so certain that we looked at this literally like fucking three days ago or something. Trump allies near total victory. Greg Jarrett. Paris 126 years ago. New York City 1929. He's just posted to be like, look, it was all white. It was all white. They were all just white. No transgender for everybody. Okay, well, my point is like not being proven by this, but he has been popping off on NATO for such a long time. Oh, fuck it. This website is so bad, dude. I'm not fucking using this anymore. We're not looking at any more of that. You know what I'm trying to say? I bet it's some secret baby fucker shit code. Oh my God, Liz, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. It's pedo shit. It's pedo shit. Yeah, nothing bad happened in New York. It could only good happen in New York in 1929.
He felt that too many allies were not with him, and
I've thought about making a Truth Social. I did, but I forgot what it is. Hey, Akin Trunks. Yeah, we're at the Ronald Reagan Institute with Mark Rutte.
Explained to him yesterday. I said, hey,
Erica is pregnant.
Clearly, the overwhelming majority of Europeans have done what the US asked of them.
They're gonna clone his gross orange-ass fucking monster himself, yeah.
And yes, sometimes it takes a bit of time. But hey, guess what? We have coalitions in Europe. We have sometimes the political home front to take care of. Sometimes it takes...
Pour one out for those of us with certain difficulties parsing consensus reality while we're in the political moment we're in. Everyday Trump posts. This is why it is so deeply fucking frustrating to me that, like, the majority of politics nowadays is people saying things like, you know, Europe has been invaded. Europe has been invaded, right? They say it all the time. They're like, Europe has been invaded. There's so many Muslims everywhere. There's so many browns everywhere. White people are just gone. They're disappeared. It's like, this doesn't exist. It's not real. You can't just like make an ideology out of this. It's just fake. It's complete false consciousness. The exact meaning of the word. And it's fucking crazy making. Didn't you hear the Sharia law in London? They've got their law, Iraqi law, and we've got our law. And they've got Muslimic Reagans. Yeah. And like, I want Britain to be back British.
But then We pulled together, and almost the whole of Europe did.
Where's that guy now? Where is that guy now? That's what I want to know. Where is he now and what's he saying?
For the US to project power on the world stage.
Look what happened to London as if it's a burning crater or something. Yeah, it's completely nutty. It's completely nutty.
Its partners in Europe. And the US, NATO is there, of course, to protect the Europeans, but also to protect the United States. As Jonas Sture, the Norwegian Prime Minister, said, these huge nuclear submarines in Russia are not there to attack Norway. They are there to attack the United States. And it is thanks to the alliance that we are able...
Oh my God, you can't be saying this, bro. You can't be... Oh, I fucking hate him so much. Oh. Hey, RTE clearance. It's so insane that he's just saying, like, these nuclear submarines are aimed at the United States.
To make sure that they are not able to get in a position to do that. So...
yeah, fuck Canada. No one cares about Canada.
The US mainland and Europe stay stronger and safer because of the alliance. So it was a good conversation. It was open and candid. And I clearly felt his disappointment, which, again, to a certain extent, I understand.
The president certainly made his disappointment clear. He's invoked renewed calls for the U.S. to potentially withdraw from NATO. Important to remember, though, that the challenge of America's participation in NATO itself is not necessarily something new. I'm always reminded of your earliest predecessor, the very first Secretary General of NATO, who said that the challenge of the alliance may be the purpose.
Smoke M if you got M.
Don't suck too hard on the joint, chat, otherwise you'll choke on the roach. Thank you so much for the £4.20. What does that mean we've got in total today? Can we turn the Melp cam on? We've had 2 subs, that's £5. And then £3, that's £8. And then £4.20, that's £12.20. So £12.20. We need another £12.80 in order to turn on the cat cam. There you go. You know what to do. You know what to do, chat.
Of NATO is keeping the Russians out and the Americans in. What case did you make to the president about keeping the Americans in? And what case would you make to the American people about why NATO matters? What's the value proposition to the Americans?
Well, let's start with sometimes the wrong value proposition. The wrong view on this, I feel, I mean, I'm an audience of one, but let's have that debate, is that NATO was founded because the United States didn't want to repeat a mistake after the Second World War of isolationism, which was the case.
Krill.
Sonic will never again be a pain in my ass.
Making it happen.
We desire the Melpet cam.
There he is. Aww. There he is. So you can all enjoy him now. There he is. Got his little beans out. It's a quality Melpet cam. We've got the live Melpet reaction. Thank you so much for the top pound 80. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch and supporting the stream, you legend. Oh, we got some more Network with the £1. Thank you so much for the £1 dono. Let's go. Thank you very much, Network. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. There he is. There he is. You can't hear him, chat, but when he opens his mouth like that, when I put my finger near him, he goes.
After the First World War, at a famous speech by Churchill, late December in the US Congress, where he said, again, for the second time in the 20th century, the long arm of history reaches out to the
long arm of history.
Defense of the old. And let's not repeat that mistake.
Yeah, he does the powering up noise.
Reason to create NATO. But the main reason to create NATO is there because there is...
My cat Sheba's boyfriend looks like Melpet.
For the Europeans.
Many such cases.
For the transatlantic community as a whole, including the United States.
Hey, Unlucky Lou, what's up?
To stay safe. And for the United States to stay safe, you need a secure Europe, yes. But you also need a secure Arctic. You need a secure Atlantic, because otherwise the Russians and others...
This motherfucker just said secure Arctic. How's that going, dude? How's the Greenland security going?
Might pose a threat. And we know by now, hey, let's not be naive about this, that you cannot separate what happens in the Indo-Pacific from what happens in the Atlantic.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. What are you talking about? What do you mean? You can't separate what happens in the Pacific, what happens in the Atlantic. What do you mean? How? Why? What are you on about?
It is China and North Korea. And
China, North Korea, yeah, all the evil countries on the other side of the world. That's right.
It comes, for example, to the war effort, war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine. They've worked together. This is worldwide, and we have to work together. I'm not pleading for NATO to expand to the Indo-Pacific, but the fact that we have...
Sounds like you're saying that there's going to be some kind of world war.
That close cooperation now.
That's mad.
With Japan, with Korea, South Korea, with obviously Australia and New Zealand. There's evidence of that. So,
New Zealand.
For all these reasons, if my family lives in the United States, and they are partly...
His fucking family lives in the United States. Oh my god, chat. Fuck me. So that means he lives in the United States. Why are we listening to this cunt? He's basically American, man. He's basically American. Why is anybody entertaining this cunt? He's just another American guy being like, you need to do what we say. It's even worse than what it was previously. He's got an accent. He must be from the Netherlands. Well, he's from the Netherlands, isn't he? But he's fucking obviously living in America, acting in American interests. Yeah, he's going to be safe from ICE, isn't he? Exactly.
Americans anyway by birth, and others have moved here after the Second World War. They deeply sense that for the US to stay safe, we have to stick together, and we need this transatlantic partnership.
One of the things that we do at the Reagan Institute is public opinion polling among the American people, and our latest data before.
Yeah, I bet these polls are definitely not biased.
A couple months ago, before sort of the current moment with Iran, especially, but a majority of Americans have a favorable view of NATO. 70% in our latest poll, which is actually about 10 points above its usual number.
Damn, that's crazy. The Ronald Reagan Institute, which was, crucial. Well, Ronald Reagan himself was crucial to utilizing NATO to the best of its capabilities. That's crazy that they're doing polls that are saying that everybody loves NATO. That's so crazy.
In the U.S., and a majority of Americans also oppose withdrawing the U.S. from NATO. And so some of those messages...
Wait, what?
And a majority of Americans also oppose withdrawing the U.S. from NATO.
I don't think that's true.
So some of those messages, I think, are resonating with the American people. Let's turn to Iran and talk about the state of play there. You said in your remarks that it's good that the Iranian nuclear capability has been degraded, their ability to export chaos has been degraded. The president, of course, has been very critical of NATO allies in particular for failing to support efforts in Iran sufficiently. We're now 2 days into what hopes to be a 2-week ceasefire. The Strait of Hormuz remains very limited, even with the ceasefire.
Strait of Hormuz.
But this coalition of European nations that's now signed on to lead freedom of operation navigations in the Strait of Hormuz. Share with us, if you can, some specifics as you understand them. What countries, you've said some countries are stepping up, others not so much. Which countries are stepping up? What are they going to deliver in the Strait of Hormuz? Yeah. And what can we do about the countries that are not yet at the table?
Yeah, so I think two elements to my reaction, to my answer. One is it has always been a long-standing position of NATO that Iran should not get its hands on a nuclear capability, but also not on a ballistic missile capability. And
no, it hasn't. That has never. The ballistic missile capability of Iran is something that has only been discussed since fucking Satan Yahoo brought it up 2 months ago. That is the only time that it has been brought up, even after Iran pummeled Tel Aviv with missiles last year during the 12-day war. It wasn't even brought up then. The only time it was brought up was in the middle of negotiations with the United States and they used it as a fucking manufacturing consent point way late in the game in order to go, to war with them. Madness. Absolute madness. Hey, Mastermind Rodak. As I recall, Reagan's way of dealing with Iran was selling them weapons and then sending the money to terrorists in Central America. Yes, correct. That is what Reagan did.
The fact that
mental
under US leadership, those capabilities have been severely degraded is good news. Existential news for Israel, existential news for the Middle East, but also for Europe and for the whole world. And I know there are those who pleaded to continue the negotiating track, but hey, listen, we know what happened with North Korea.
Oh, buddy. You are just doing so well in public opinion.
Not on a ballistic missile capability. And the fact that under US leadership, those capabilities have been severely degraded is good news.
Well, that's not happened.
Existential news for Israel, existential news for the Middle East, but also for Europe and for the whole world. And I know there are those who pleaded to continue the negotiating track, but hey, listen, we know what happened with North Korea.
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. This is so fucking crazy. We know what happened with North Korea. What happened with North Korea, Rutte? They got a nuclear weapon and they attacked nobody. Wars started by North Korea. How many? How many, Rutte? How many wars have been started by North Korea, Rutte? How many? How many have they done? How many? How many? Fuck me, dude.
There can be a moment where you've negotiated so long that, guess what? North Korea got its hands on a nuclear capability. Then it is.
I knew that was what he was talking about.
NATO always being clear that Iran should not be able to get its hands on those capabilities. So then, when the US...
No, that's a different guy network.
Late February, on that last Saturday in February...
yeah, also North Korea doesn't get bombed. Like, him saying that out loud is really an admission that, like, oh no, we can't threaten North Korea effectively anymore, right? That's all that is. That's literally all that is. Utterly mental, chat. Utterly mental. Okay. Yeah.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard.
This is who this guy is, network.
They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word. They're not going to be fighting.
Daddy has to use strong language. Daddy's home.
With European allies on overflight, on basing, there are examples of European countries that had to shut down their commercial airports because they had to host tanker planes from the US. Fine, I mean, this is the deals they made before. This is exactly what we need. This is the US also being able to make use, as I said, for Europe.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it, Morrigan.
Platform for the United States, and this is part of the deal. Not all European nations, but most did, sometimes with a little bit of delay, and there I think part of the explanation is the fact that the president wanted to maintain the element of surprise, which I totally understand.
Yeah, chat, don't forget, movie night is tonight. Movie night is literally happening in about an hour. If you want to join us for movie night, get in the Discord. Yeah, it's going to be like 4 fucking hours of movie. Yeah.
Meant that there was not a lot of prior consultation, so then they had to scramble to understand what was happening and then to step up. When it comes to the Strait of Hormuz,
we're watching Melania and then we're watching The Apprentice. So we got an hour and 40 minutes of bad movie and then 2 hours of good movie. Yay!
Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister,
here we go.
Took the leadership role here, and he said we have to bring together a coalition of countries which is able collectively to make sure that the principle of free shipping, of free travel on our seas, UNCLOS, is upheld.
Bro, you can't be quoting Keir Starmer and saying he took the leadership charge when Trump, about a month ago, not even a month ago, like 3 weeks ago, was going, he's no Winston Churchill. Like, what's going on, bro?
And obviously that means with the United States together, discussing the what, the where, and the when
Big
of
Keith.
the mission. But this
The
is
man
about practical support
of tempered glass. He will never resign.
Yesterday it will probably be about mine hunters, it will be about frigates, it will be about radar technology. And so each country is now looking for what they can do to contribute to this, to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz stays open. Of course, it is early days. There's only, as you said, right, they said 2 days into the ceasefire, so we have to see what happens with the shipping lanes as we now go forward.
One of my many absolute blinders.
Keen on making sure that the sea lanes are open as soon as possible. But this is practical support. One, with the campaign itself, and now in the next stage, to make sure that this principle of free shipping is maintained. And this is why we have allies, coalitions. This is not only NATO nations, this is including Japan, Korea, Australia being part of this. Countries like Bahrain and the UAE in the Gulf, part of this, but of course the overwhelming amount of countries is from NATO.
There are reports that the
Again, you know, they just say it out loud a lot of the time, chat. You know, he was like, just mentioning all the extra countries that are actually part of the imperial core, like Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and all the Gulf vassal states, right? He said it out loud, you know?
president's considering pulling U.S. troops out of specific NATO countries as punishment for those that have not stepped up to support U.S. efforts in Iran. Traditionally, U.S. force presence in Europe is thought of as a deterrence asset. What is your assessment of what the impact would be if U.S. troops are repositioned?
Well, again, as I said, he was disappointed yesterday, but we also had a very frank and open discussion amongst friends. But generally, I mean, I totally understand that over time, the US wants more and more to pivot towards the Indo-Pacific. This is one of the reasons why in Europe we have to step up. End that period of codependence and become more interdependent with the United States. Within the alliance, a stronger Europe.
He's just saying become dependent on the alliance, and there is no fucking codependence that is happening. Like, what he's talking about is this idea that the USA is fighting all of NATO's battles for it, right? That's not happening. The USA is doing whatever the fuck it wants. You know? This is some desperate shit. This is some totally desperate shit.
In a stronger NATO, as I said. What is important, of course, over time when you achieve that point, is to make sure that whilst the Europeans are stepping up, and the US is over time making sure that they can also take care of the threats in the Indo-Pacific, and of course here in their own hemisphere, that it's done in a way where, when it comes to the essential capabilities and essential support, that we stay strong as an alliance. But everybody agrees with that. There's no debate on that.
You've just published your new annual report, and it contains, unlike many annual reports, some genuinely historic news that now all and not a criticism, NATO annual reports. Every organization annual report often are not real page turners, but this one has
photographs with the leader.
Exactly. Real news that every member of the alliance is now meeting the 2% defense spending target. European allies and Canada increased defense spending by 20% in a single year. But as you said in your remarks, what matters most is translating that capital into capabilities. What's the path forward? What are you watching out for in terms of whether that spending surge actually produces the stronger alliance we need?
Yeah, they'll be doing that by cutting social services, yeah.
Numbers, right? So you have to imagine that countries like Belgium, like Spain, Italy and Canada, big economies, were not on 2%. They all reached the 2% in one go. And I would argue, without President Trump, I'm not sure they would have done that in only 9 to...
Yes, you're right. If Trump had not had said, please, well, not even please, because he doesn't say fucking please, increase your defense spending by 2%, yes, they wouldn't have done it. Yes, they wouldn't have done it because every single fucking country in the fucking world has a deficit. A literal fucking deficit. And obviously money doesn't mean anything and shit like that. And all the countries in the world just say that they have a deficit. And that's why it's like, you know, oh, well, you know, it's a struggle for us to fund social services, you know. But at the end of the day, like, that's the reality of it. It's like, you know, you are pushing people more and more and more into the contradictions becoming clearer and then gaining class consciousness just through a lack of material conditions, you know? I will take a stretch. Thank you, Athea.
12 months. This is billions and billions extra. For Italy, it is an increase of defense spending of 10 billion in 1 year. And then the whole of the alliance having committed to the 5% at the summit in The Hague. So we need the credible path to get there. So not just simmering around to 2% and then in 2034 all of a sudden we go from 2 to 5. No, it has to be a credible path. This is one of the things we will look for in Ankara. Ankara will focus primarily on industry, industrial production. But of course we will also celebrate these good numbers, but also make sure that as an alliance collectively we reach that credible path. The good thing is, and this was under my predecessor Jens Stoltenberg, that when you had the Welsh defense pledge of 2%, this was a bit taken from the air, the 2%. Now, this 5%, including the 3.5% core defense spending, the 1.5% defense-related spending, is deeply rooted in the plans which are there, basically saying when Article 5 would be triggered, hopefully never, but if it would ever be triggered, and there is an attack on NATO territory, who will do what, when and where, and what is needed. So every country, my country...
Wait, that's so funny. What? Is he saying that they don't know what they would do if there was an attack on a NATO country? That's so funny, bro. That's actually really funny.
Which are there, basically saying when Article 5 would be triggered, hopefully never, but if it would ever be triggered, and there is an attack on NATO territory, who will do what, when and where, and what is needed. So every country, my country, the Netherlands, Germany, everybody knows.
They don't have a plan.
This is the list of requirements from NATO, and then
no,
list of
they don't know.
When you add it all
NATO's a paper tiger.
Core defense spending the 3.5, overall spending 5%. That's about the number you need. A little bit more in some cases, a little bit less, but it is hovering around the 3.5, for example, when it comes to the core defense, and 5 for the overall defense.
They have a plan for gathering requirements for a plan?
Every country knows what they need to do. So it's not just spending more. The problem is the defense industrial production. And that's a problem here in the United States. It is a problem in Europe.
The defense requirements exceed production. Is that what he said?
The Chinese have now more ships.
Defense industrial production, yeah. Hey man, the reason that you have a problem with that, it's a little word that begins with C and ends in apitalism. That's the problem you got there, man.
That the Chinese are heavily investing in their defense.
No, I don't think he said it out loud, right? I don't think he said out loud, we don't have a plan for that. I think that he just like accidentally admitted, because he's talking about how there's not enough spending, there's not enough defense spending happening in NATO countries, and he's like, yeah, man, well, you know, every country knows that if Article 5 is triggered, we need to know what's going on, we need to know, you know, there's a plan there of what every country is going to do, and are they going to be able to do it? It's like, he's essentially saying that they don't have a plan, right? He's essentially saying that they don't have a plan and that, like, they're not prepared for something like that to happen. That's so fucking funny, man.
For Russia, when it comes to our adversaries, but let's also be watchful what China is doing. So for all these reasons,
let's be watchful of China.
The defense industrial production, I predict that over time, you will see...
We're all trying to find the one responsible for this.
Maybe in the US, but maybe sooner even in Europe, will move into more of a wartime mindset. Not to prepare for war, but to make sure that you are able to refill the stockpiles. Also,
yeah, man, I'm sure that everyone in Europe is feeling really good about this. By the way, chat, did you know that they just made it illegal to leave Germany if you are aged 18 to 25? Did you know that? You can't leave Germany without specific permission from the government, because they need to make sure that you are ready to go to war. Didn't they just roll that back? Did they roll that back today? Well, I hope they did. Hang on a minute. 18 to 25s can't leave Germany. Yeah, here we go. This is 5 days ago. German males under 45 may need military approval for long stays abroad. That's mad. It's actually men aged between 17 and 45. I thought it was 18 and 25. Absolutely crazy, dude. Absolutely fucking crazy. There's going to be people that are asking, like, China for asylum from Germany. And then they suspended it. Germany suspends military approval for long stays abroad for men under 45. Well, that's good. Thank God. All right. So here's the news today. Yeah, I'm thinking about 18 to 25 because that's the number mentioned in the draft that's being discussed today. Yeah. So there you go. So they did actually get rid of that today. Thank God. He's introducing an exemption, whether they're 17 or 45, anywhere in between, of course, free to travel. They currently don't need permission to do so. Lengthy stays abroad will not need to be reported either. Oh, okay. All right, okay, so there you go. djmuel, the news 5 days ago today. It's not my fault that the German government flip-flops. It's not my fault. I see things pass by, and, I mention them. That's how it goes. If the government wants to flip-flop, and I don't get that news, that's their fault, not mine. As I said before, I am not independent media. I'm just a Twitch streamer. I've always got that get out clause. If I do misinformation, days since misinformation spread. Set the timer back to 0. All right, let's carry on.
Making use of the traditional industrial base, not only of the defense industrial base, because we are really in a tight race here, and we have to get this right very soon.
When it comes to that industrial cooperation across the transatlantic alliance, moving, as you said,
it still felt bad because they were empowered to do it in the first place. Oh no, absolutely, yeah.
What does that look like? What in particular, speaking to an American audience, primarily we have lots of defense industry CEOs and executives in the room.
This has been a great talk by him. Can we watch it all again? Yeah, that's what we do here.
American industrial base in order to build that healthy partnership that you're looking for, either from industry partners or from the U.S. government side?
Well, first of all, produce more. Put in the extra shifts. Put in the extra production lines where necessary.
I'm sure this will be received really well. I'm sure that a factory worker in Romania that is building parts for F-35 jets, covered in soot, smoking 15 cigarettes at once, looks at the headline that Mark Rutte wants you to put in more shifts, produce more, get more production lines on the go, and the number of cigarettes in his gob multiplies by 15. I'm sure that he's going to take that news really well. I'm sure that this will be really good. Mandatory 36-hour working days. Famously, people love that kind of shit. Just one more production line, bro. Just one more.
Build the new factories. Please don't talk about 10-year contracts. Because, in the US system, you have a 1-year cycle. In the European system, you have an election cycle of 3 or 4 years. But the money is there. I mean, you just mentioned a 20% increase. Look what
it's so funny. Like, what we're witnessing in real time is a guy who has been totally, he's just totally ideologically capitalist, and he's like, the money's there, so why can't we make it happen? There's money, so it should happen. It's like, bro, labor has to happen for these things to happen. You can do nothing without the workers. The money's there, we just need to kill Social Security. I mean, that's what he's saying, basically, yeah.
Our spending in the US, it was 10 billion in 2020. It was already 43 billion in 2024.
Dog shit economic strategy, yeah.
Base, and that will massively increase, let alone what the US will need for itself to buy given...
He's saying that Europe should increase its production of weapons so that the USA can have all the weapons. Yeah, mate, sick. That's so good.
The huge increase of the defense budget here in the United States under Trump's leadership. So do this, and then secondly, work together. And I know there are many examples of US companies investing in Europe, setting up factories, for example, factories in the southern part of Bavaria to produce interceptors. And there are many of these examples, but also European companies like Thales, like Leonardo, so many cases. I mean, many companies from Turkey, for example, investing in the US, working together. So there is this transatlantic defense industrial base. And there is no way you can separate that. There's absolutely...
Yeah, but there is, though. There is. You can do that. You can separate it.
Absolutely no way, because...
Yeah, the USA famously short on guns, yeah.
One who will benefit from that is Russia in the short term and China in the longer term, and we cannot have that.
Why does Russia benefit in the short term and China benefit in the long term? All that he's saying there is he's laying out NATO's plans for war. Because the reason that he's saying that Russia benefits in the short term is because they're already at war with Russia. He's saying that China benefits in the long term because they want to go to war with China later. Hey, what if, right, China started making better weapons than the US? Shouldn't we work with them instead of America? That is exactly what should happen. And they're already doing that. They are already making much better weapons than the USA.
I'm going to come to questions from our audience here in the next couple of minutes, but to round out my questions to start, let's turn to Ukraine. Two questions on Ukraine. Number one, General Petraeus, retired U.S. General Petraeus, has said in an interview earlier this week that he thinks Russia no longer has the upper hand, that over the last several months the Ukrainians have made greater incremental gains than the Russians. Do you agree with that assessment? Is Ukraine winning the war? And number two, you've been engaged with President Zelensky, President Trump, on the peace process in Ukraine. Again, without betraying confidences, what gives you hope and where are you worried about the future of the war in Ukraine?
No land to Russia, no compromise, yada, yada, yada. We should keep fighting Russia if they don't do what we want. It's just already straight away.
Well, on the first question, I'm afraid my view will be a bit more nuanced. It's true that Russia is losing massive amounts of
Russia is losing so bad, but we have to not capitulate to their demands that they're able to make very, very easily, because they have in fact made huge gains in terms of territory, etc. Yeah, to the last Ukrainian.
People each month, up to a month with 30,000 to 35,000 people dead or seriously wounded. Can you imagine? I mean, the Soviets in the 1980s lost under 20,000 in 10 years in Afghanistan, and now they are losing this in 3 weeks. So this is massive, and this cannot, and this has to reach somehow Moscow and St. Petersburg. You cannot try to contain this to the parts of Russia which will not be reached by the general media. So that will have an impact on Russia, no doubt. But on the other hand, still overall, the front line is moving in the wrong direction, extremely slowly, and again against extreme costs. And
this is so good, dude. He's like, Russia are losing so bad, but the front line's moving in the wrong direction. That doesn't sound like they're losing, bro.
Iranians are staunchly defending themselves, and they are using the latest technology. I mentioned in my introduction the drone technology, and this gives them immense power, of course. And also when it comes to drones and anti-drones, they really have
drone-on-drone action.
But more generally, you still see very slowly that the movement is in the wrong direction. If you are pro-Ukraine like I am, and anti-Russian. When it comes to the second question, I still think we need a settlement for this, a peace deal. And this is what President Trump is driving. He broke the deadlock with Putin last year by getting engaged with him. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are working around the clock together with Marco Rubio to get this done.
I'm sure that's going to go really well. I'm sure that Putin's taking it really seriously. He is good at droning, isn't he? Very good one. Very good one. Yeah, I'm sure that Witkoff and Rubio are doing such a good job with the diplomacy with Putin. I'm sure that Putin sees them as incredibly serious diplomats who are doing a great job. China has already tested its 6th-generation air superiority fighters. US announced the F-47 in 2014 and has still not produced a single unit. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Strongest country in the world. On the 21st of March 2025, US President Donald Trump announced that the program would move ahead, that its centerpiece aircraft will be called the F-47, and that the engineering and manufacturing development contract worth more than $20 billion will be awarded to Boeing. And is it moving ahead?
And we all understand that the key to unlock this is for Ukraine to know that after a peace deal, NATO membership not being on the table for now.
This is so weak. Bro, this is so weak. The key thing is, Ukraine needs to understand is that even though they've been begging us for NATO membership, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it, bro. They're not going to get it. I know that hundreds of thousands of your boys have died, but you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting that NATO membership. I'm sorry, dog. I know that we said we'd think about it. Well, it's been 4 years of war, and we still need to think about it. Hey, have you considered getting some more weapons? Have you considered purchasing some more weapons from us? And I heard Putin called your mum a slag. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Sounds like you should give a pop. I don't know. You should have a pop at Moscow, bro.
Security guarantees in place so strong that they know
I wouldn't take that.
Will not try to attack again. And early January in Paris, under President Macron's leadership, we had a meeting with all the countries part of the coalition of the willing, including the key interlocutors with the United States. We agreed on a three-layer approach. Layer one is the Ukrainian armed forces. They have to be the strongest possible, with great and huge investments from Europe and the US to make sure they can defend themselves. Second layer being the coalition of the willing, so that's primarily Europe, but also some non-European nations, and the third layer being the United States providing the backstop to that coalition. And
hey, Ninja Can, this is Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO.
Strong package of security guarantees, and this is key to unlock the debate on what is somehow the landing ground for a peace deal. But of course, you need two to play tango. Eh? Also, Putin has to play ball, and of course, this is also testing him, how serious he is in getting this done.
Mm-hmm. There's an argument that the U.S. military footprint in Europe is misaligned to the current threat, thinking beyond Ukraine as well. We have with us today Washington Post columnist Mark Thiessen, who has argued in columns for years that the threat from Moscow is moving east and U.S. force presence should move with it. What's your view? Is NATO's eastern flank vulnerable, and should we have more allied forces positioned in places like Romania?
Well, of course, what again on my predecessor Jens Stoltenberg happened is that in all...
Can anyone else hear Melt purring? You shouldn't be able to. He's not purring.
The countries on the eastern flank, we have now what we in NATO parlor now call the forward land forces. And these are multi-country forces helping to defend, for example, Latvia, where it is Canada taking the lead, Estonia, where the UK is taking the lead, Poland, where the
Soon I will get a Melpet per microphone. It will happen.
US is taking the lead. So, and Lithuania, where my country, the Netherlands, is active under the leadership of Germany.
He looks like he should be purring, so your brain was like, yeah, man,
all these
that's happening.
On the eastern flank have, in addition to their own national armed forces, and of course the overall NATO Article 5 protection that they have, what they need to defend themselves. And of course, you always have to be make use of your resources, which are always limited, in the best possible way. So this is a debate we constantly are having. Where should you deploy? What is the best way to do that? I leave that primarily to the military, and we have, by the way, with Alexis Krinkovich, call sign Cringe, the new Supreme Allied Commander Europe, and also commander of the US forces in Europe.
What's the profit margin for Chinese contractors? Maybe when they start paying $12,000 for a paper shredder like a real military, I'll take them seriously. Right, yeah, exactly. All right, Morgan, have a good shift.
We have an amazing senior commander, a 4-star general, who
call sign Cringe, call sign Drunky,
assessing what is the best way to make use of all the resources available from the US, from Europe, to protect the continent.
Last question for me before we go to the audience. Let's end by talking about our namesake. You invoked President Reagan in your remarks. You've done so in Europe. You've done so in your meetings with President Trump. You said you were raised with Ronald Reagan in a sense. What does President Reagan's legacy mean to you? And
raised with Reagan in a sense.
All of the challenges facing NATO, what principle or what idea from President Reagan should we remember? What's most important?
The total clarity of focus from the day he entered into office till he left the presidency in 1988. And
I don't think that Reagan had a total clarity of thought. That's so funny, dude.
Handed over to Bush, to Herbert Walker Bush, who then took that legacy and in the end saw the Berlin Wall coming down. That leadership, first of all, total clarity of focus, which is we have to win the Cold War, ended by winning it. There's no other way.
It's so crazy that they're glazing Reagan.
He had the best possible.
Reagan will be remembered in the future as one of the worst humans in the world. We only have to endure this for like another 30 years or so, chat. Honestly. You know? Demented old white man is the height of clarity of thought for NATO. It's so crazy, man.
In Europe, in the United Kingdom, that special relationship, which is so important to the alliance and to the whole transatlantic community. And it was Maggie Thatcher at that time was rebuilding her country. Don't forget that in the 1970s, the UK was run by the trade unions, more or less. And she was...
Don't fucking...
That woman made my youth a misery. I think that she was to blame for most of the ills in society, and most of the things that poor people and ill people have now being blamed for were her fault.
Maggie, Maggie, Maggie! Maggie, Maggie, Maggie! Maggie! Maggie, Maggie, Maggie!
I remember the day well, chat.
Thatcher's death, I think, is a celebration around the world. Millions of people know she started a legacy, and that legacy was turning over public services and starting the greed for the bankers. And I think everyone knows it started in Britain, and she continued that across her legacy continent. And today, everyone who don't want that are celebrating that.
Legends. Anyone who has a fucking ounce of a soul despises Thatcher.
Able, fighting the coal miners' union, getting the Falklands back from the Argentina.
Yeah, man, so cool, dude. It's so cool that that she fought the miners. It's so cool that she did that, dude.
In 1982, she was a staunch leader, and these two leaders deeply understanding the value of democracy, of freedom.
Like, chat, if you don't understand why you should hate Mark Rutte, if you're finding it hard to understand, it's like, oh, well, I don't know much about NATO. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's good that NATO exists. Maybe we should have, like, NATO, but without the United States. Like, just remember that Mark Rutte said this. Just remember that Mark Rutte was like, Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher are some of the best politicians of our lifetimes.
Power, I think, has brought us so far. So, but also there is the
And also, don't forget, chat, the Dutch invented capitalism, colonialism. Yeah. They invented all that stuff.
The legacy of the diplomacy when Bush...
It started and apartheid.
The Berlin Wall came down. It was Bush who understood that he could not celebrate that. And he got criticized for that here in the United States. Why don't you celebrate the fact that you, thanks to your leadership and the president preceding you, President Reagan's leadership, you brought down the Berlin Wall. He understood that for Gorbachev to survive at that important moment, he could not celebrate that too overtly. And it is also that type of leadership. And
yeah,
I really
don't forget Svart Piet.
Bush. But first of all, Ronald Reagan, and of course there are so many funny stories about that relationship, but I'll make use of that in the lunch. But how Maggie Thatcher would hand back herself into the Oval Office, and the whole of the American administration telling the president, you've got to say no to the prime minister. Yes, I will. You've got to say no. Hello, Ronnie. Let's first have a meeting one-on-one. And then she went to the Oval Office, sat for an hour. They came out, and of course, he had agreed with everything the prime minister wanted. And his staff said,
You don't know about Svart Piet, Bubble? There's a tradition in Holland where every Christmas they do blackface. And there's a kind of Santa Claus that is just a white guy doing blackface. That doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about the Dutch to dispute it. That's the beauty of it. I can just say it. And no one knows enough about the Dutch to know whether that is real. But it is in fact real. And that's that. That's the end of it. So there you go. Is the 6th of December not Christmas? Yeah, it's around Christmas. It's around Christmas. Yeah, of course they still do that. Listen, they didn't have woke in Holland. They didn't have that. It didn't happen. There was none of that. There's like 10 woke guys in Holland. I'm joking. There's loads of nice Dutch people, but I know all the pretty buildings and stuff was paid for with dead Congolese people. That's the Belgians. That's the Belgians. The Dutch did colonialism in different places. I know you're young, but have you seen the Genesis video, Land of Confusion, with the puppets of world leaders? Yes, it was very popular when I was growing up on MTV. And I'm a big fan of Genesis and that particular song as well, yes. Those puppets were from a show called Spitting Image in the UK when it used to be good. When it used to be good. They didn't have woke in Holland. They didn't happen.
But you would say no to the prime minister. You cannot say no.
A friend of mine lived in Holland for like 3 years and got hate crimed so bad. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm fucking saying, man. You need to know what you're getting into. When you think you're just going for a silly little time, going to Amsterdam, smoking some weed. It's just one of the worst places in the world. Sorry, no, I am being a bit insane.
To Maggie.
I am being a bit silly, but yeah, no, it's the Dutch's crime. Listen, it's Europe's crimes. Let's not forget, Britain basically started the transatlantic slave trade, right? So, you know, there is every reason to despise the British. There is every reason to despise the Dutch, the French, the Belgians, the Spanish, the Portuguese. You know, all of them, all of us. We all did it. None of us can wash our hands of, participation in the evils of colonialism.
This is also the sweet part of that relationship. And we are all better off for the fact that these two remarkable leaders were taking charge of the world in the 1980s.
We are.
Yeah.
Let's turn to our audience. We have some microphones here for those that have questions. Let's start in the back here, and then we'll come up here.
Hey, Ezra.
Alina Shirazi from Daily Mail. So based on your conversation with the president yesterday, do you think that he is still going to stay in NATO since you know him so well? And second of all, do you still consider him daddy after yesterday?
Well, on the daddy thing, this is a language problem. What happened is the following. I have to explain to you.
This is great, dude. This is the whole reason that I wanted to watch this, by the way. Just in case anyone wasn't paying attention, let's go back to this question.
Do you think that he is still going to stay in NATO since you know him so well? And second of all, do you still consider him daddy after yesterday?
Well, on the daddy thing, this is a language problem. What happened is the following. I have to explain to you, because it follows me a little bit. I can assure you. No, we had a sort of pre-summit meeting, the president and I, in June in The Hague. And he had been very angry that day with Iran and with Israel. This was in June last year. And in Dutch you would say, hey, the translation of your father is daddy. And I said, hey, yeah, sometimes daddy has to be angry. So I was not...
Brother, put that shovel down. Put that shovel down. You should have just said, no, he's not daddy anymore. No, yeah, the cuckoldry on display is absolutely insane. This is so funny.
Calling him my daddy, but saying... But of course, daddy has also a special connotation, and I now have to live with this the rest of my life.
I hate his fucking laugh face. He looks like a rodent, bro. He looks like a fucking evil, hairless rodent from Fallout.
And the president owns it, because he brought out T-shirts, he made a movie, Daddy is Home, and he returned to the United States. This was so funny. And this is why I like him so much. But...
He didn't mean that! He didn't mean it! I can see it in his face! This is why I like him so much!
United States, this was so funny. And this is why I like him so much. But, hey, yeah, you make mistakes. And this is when you are not a native speaker. Sorry for that. No, again, as I said, the conversation was really open.
No, you don't understand. He's just my daddy forever. It's not what you think.
Between friends, but there is really also clearly his disappointment.
Just up front here.
Yes.
Good morning. The former ambassador of Italy.
Wait, did he even answer the question about whether he was going to stay in NATO?
Also clearly his disappointment.
Whoa. I was so enamored with the daddy talk. Daddy's just our safe word.
Yeah, you make mistakes. And this is when you are not a native speaker. Sorry for that. No, again, as I said, the conversation was really open. It was really between friends, but there is really also clearly his disappointment.
So he didn't say yes or no about that. He said it was an open conversation. It was between friends, but he's disappointed. Okay.
Just up front here.
Yes.
Good morning. The former ambassador of Italy to the alliance.
Thank you for your remarks, and you mentioned the UK initiative to bring together European forces and other forces to ensure the safety of the Straits. And as Secretary General of NATO, considering that NATO has important presences in the Middle East, from Jordan to Kuwait to even Iraq, do you see
not anymore, buddy?
NATO can play as a coordinating force, also to show the added value to President Trump that is asking for that, and considering also that the next summit will be in Ankara, which is clearly a strategic play in that region. How do you see that playing out? Thank you.
Embarrassing, man. I have an idea of how you could definitely make sure that Trump will start to value NATO again if you just do more stuff for him. So embarrassing.
I would argue let's do it step by step, but with speed. And the step now being taken is for this coalition of now 34 countries who gathered together at the military level last Tuesday to start doing the detailed planning for what this Hormuz mission could be. I think
Hormuz coalition.
If NATO can help, obviously NATO is there. There's no reason not to be helpful. Obviously we will, if that's helpful. But I think we have to do it step by step, because also in NATO that requires then an agreement between all the allies to do that.
What do they think they are going to do? What do they think they are going to do? Do they think that NATO are just going to sail ships in there and get hit by Iranian missiles? Is that the plan? What's the plan, bro? What's the thing? Countries are not just going to go, yes, I'll help if you don't have a plan. But also, alongside that, countries are not just going to go, yes, I'll help. If the plan is we just get boats in there, we just put our warships in there, because the warships will get sunk, dude. They'll get sunk. They will get fucking scuppered faster than you can say Allahu Akbar, right? It'll be fucking over.
And I think here the exact structure is less important than the speed. Here I would say it is speed over perfection. But again, if NATO can play a role, it would be great.
In the back here. Brad.
Mr. Secretary General, thank you for your remarks and your leadership. Really appreciate it. At our think tank, Foundation for
I haven't
Defense
watched enough Futurama to understand that reference. Sorry, Atomic.
China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are cooperating. Based on your role, I'm wondering if you could speak in more depth about how Russia and Iran are cooperating and how that's increasing the capabilities of both Russia with respect to Eastern
This is going to be unhinged. This answer is going to be unhinged.
Iran and the Middle East. Thank you, sir.
They're absolutely cooperating. I mean, North Korea, China, Iran, Belarus, and Russia are working together when it comes to this war of aggression against Ukraine. And particularly when it comes to Iran and Russia, it is drone technology. It is other military technology, and the Russians are returning with money, and the money is being spent for Iran to create the utter chaos. There are.
Let's have that again. Let's just have that again real quick.
Thank you, sir.
They're absolutely cooperating. I mean, North Korea, China, Iran, Belarus, and Russia are working together when it comes to this war of aggression.
They're working together
against Ukraine. And particularly when it comes to Iran and Russia, it is drone technology. It is other military technology. And the Russians are returning with money. And the money is being spent for Iran to create the utter chaos. They are the main exporter of chaos in the Middle East.
Exporter of chaos. They're not saying terror, by the way. He's not saying terrorism at any point during this conference, which is quite interesting. Ooh, I wonder what the fuck is going on there.
But also directly trying to build this ballistic missile capability and the nuclear capability. We have seen these missiles going into US property about 4,000 kilometers, so 2,500 miles away from Iran. So that is quite a distance, which shows you that Iran is close to really having operationalized that technology. And again, that's the reason why I think it is so important that the US has degraded those two capabilities, both nuclear and ballistic missiles.
Yeah, but they were saying that they did that a week before that happened. So they've done that now, have they?
But it is technology into Russia, money from Russia to Iran.
Ambassador Markarova.
Thank you, former Ukraine's ambassador.
Yes,
thank you, Mark, for
good
your
to see
excellent leadership and in NATO and before. But thank you, Brad, for excellent question. Given that our enemies really cooperate together and they work together hand in hand, not just on Ukraine, but elsewhere, do you think Ukraine's capabilities, and there is no doubt that Ukraine's drone capabilities and others, is the answer to so many problems, not just in Ukraine, and the need to build this transatlantic bridge, Ukraine, Europe, the US?
Oh my god, it's so fucking sad, dude. Ukrainian people are not going to... I think that there's probably quite a broad amount of the Ukrainian working class that understand that they're being completely used at this point. I do think that there is like a significant amount of people who believe that. But at what point is every Ukrainian gonna realize that, like, there is nothing that you can do? It doesn't matter how low you stoop, what kind of services you offer, what kind of support you offer. You will never be allowed in NATO. It was never gonna happen. And NATO is happy for every single one of your sons, daughters, children to be fed into the meat grinder for their fucking gain. Do you know what I mean? My friend's wife left Ukraine when the war started, and that's her analysis of the situation. They got used. Lots of Ukrainians know this. Lots of Ukrainians fucking know this. They're like, you know, people who've lived there for decades, they like, you know, saw the de-Russification, they saw the fucking, you know, whatever they call it, the I can't remember what it's called, like Maidan Square Revolution or whatever it was. They knew that it was a fascist coup. They knew that that Zelensky had fucking connections to the USA and shit like that. And it's like, they all saw it happening, and it's fucking the Euromaidan. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, the Euromaidan, the Maidan. Is it Maidan? I don't know, something like that. They called it like the Maidan Revolution or something. You know, a lot of Ukrainian people will yeah, Maidan, yeah. The Ukrainian people will just like know that this is the case, but it's just so sad that there's just like such a big section of like clearly the media apparatus in Ukraine and the diplomacy apparatus as well. Like this person was the previous ambassador to, you know, NATO from Ukraine. And it's just so sad to just see them be like so fucking desperate. They're just so desperate.
Actually calls for renewed discussions on Ukraine's membership in NATO. And I know it's not on the table right now, but the preparation and everything that we actually can be strong in Ukraine can contribute to NATO as it can.
Oh, it's begging at the...
Okay, so at the NATO summit in Washington, when NATO was celebrating the 75 years, there was an agreement on the irreversible...
She's fucking begging for him to let them in NATO. It's so embarrassing, man.
...path of Ukraine into NATO, but also the fact of the matter is that a couple of countries are holding back, including Germany and Slovakia, Hungary, the United States. So I don't think it is on the table right now. And that is being a practical guy, but also President Zelensky being a practical man. We had to shift from NATO to what then? To make sure that the Russians will not attack after a long-term ceasefire, or even better, a peace deal. And that is this concept of the security guarantees which are now being discussed.
It's so funny, man. It's like we can't let Ukraine be in NATO because it'll upset Russia. But anyway, we're gonna do all this other stuff in NATO that's gonna upset Russia. But then we can't let Ukraine be in NATO after a ceasefire because it'll upset Russia. An anarchist told me to make like 22 American vets a day and kilometers. Oh, and kill yourself for suggesting that Maidan was a CIA-backed color revolution. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, that person's not an anarchist. That person's a fucking liberal. That person's a NATO liberal. And they're probably from the USA. Remember when Russia applied to join NATO? Great times. We'll send drones to hit Russia's third biggest oil refinery, but let's not upset Russia.
Because I don't think it will be I will be able, or we will be able collectively to solve that NATO membership in the short term. I don't think it will happen politically. So I think that's the fair assessment. And
right. Hey, risk averse.
Capabilities. We have a joint center in Poland, JTEC, where we take all the lessons from what you guys are learning through this terrible war. And we are so looking up with a steep angle to what you are doing. We're really impressed. But we are trying to catch up.
This is so dead.
All those lessons also to figure them into our NATO defense plans going forward. And particularly when it comes to drones and anti-drone technology, of course, you are the masters. Zelensky wisely traveled to the Middle East to help Middle Eastern Gulf countries now with dealing with the drone threat from Iran. So this is evidence of Ukraine really stepping up and also making use of its capacities now and capabilities, also when it comes to the region in the Middle East.
Let's go back to this side of the
Great answer. Thank you, Rutte.
room in the back row. And we'll come to the middle.
I'm sure that really answered all of Ukraine's questions.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. The Trump administration has spent the past year kind of telling NATO to stay out of the Middle East, stay out of the Indo-Pacific, focus on Europe, focus on Russia. Now it's demanding, as you said, that NATO help in Strait of Hormuz in the Middle East. Is that creating some whiplash there among allies about what exactly the administration is asking and how you can move quickly enough to meet their needs?
Finally, some real questions.
Well, I think
Did I say hi, Steph? Hello, Steph.
The US side is constantly evolving when it comes, for example, to the Indo-Pacific. It is true that for some time there was a idea that you should focus more on your own area. And of course, it is always focus above synergy. So first, deal with your own issues, and NATO not being on 2% and now having to move to the 5%. And before all these decisions were taken, I totally accepted the US view that focus above synergy, first focus on your own problems. But now that
we do what the president says.
We have solved some of those issues in the NATO summit, and now that the whole of alliance has reached this 2% threshold, so the foundation is now laid. What I also hear back in US circles and European circles is that most likely, if China would move against Taiwan, why not first go?
It is not gonna happen. This is what they're desperate for. They are so desperate for China to move against Taiwan. Bro, they're going to have elections in Taiwan very soon, and the opposition leader is going to win, and they're going to do reconciliation with China. That's it. That's fucking it, dude. Like, sorry to shit on your dreams, but that's just how it's going to happen.
Well, your junior partner in all of this.
Hey, Alex Catmon, how you doing?
Vladimir Putin, residing in Moscow, and ask him to keep us busy here. So most likely, it will not be limited.
He almost said NATO was defensive, but couldn't say it. Yeah.
It will be a multi-theater issue, and that means that my chief of staff was in Japan just last week, carrying messages, and I'm constantly in contact with the 4 partners in the Pacific. By the way, the distance between Japan and Australia is longer than between Japan and Brussels, but still we see it as one theater.
The distance between Japan and Australia is longer between the distance between Japan and Brussels. There's Brussels. There's Japan. There's Australia. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it just completely isn't. It just absolutely is not. It's the most insane thing. That map is probably not scale. Okay, well, let's get the real map. The one that broke everyone's brains at the start of the year when I broke this out. There we go. Right. There's there. Yeah. There is Brussels. There is Japan. Australia, Japan, just there. Sorry, it's like a third longer. It's like a third longer. It's just, he's just chatting rubbish. He's just saying anything.
Pacific, which tells you something about the size of the globe. But hey, this is important.
No, he doesn't have a fucking clue.
We cannot look at these 2 theaters separately. They are all interconnected.
We have time for a couple more questions. Let's go in the back middle there.
Thank you. Morgan Phillips with
Hi,
Fox
good morning.
News. Good morning. There seems to be some differing views between the U.S. and Europe on what NATO's obligations are as it relates to the Iran conflict. After your meeting with
this is going to be his last
do you
question.
think the U.S. and Europe are on the same page about what NATO's obligations are?
Yeah, and it's not so much NATO, it is the allies. So first of all, it might be that NATO plays a role, like the Italian ambassador was just referring to, but I think it is what allies can expect from each other. And I think rightly the US was expecting that if you have deals with European countries on making use of your own bases and other infrastructure in those countries in case you need it, that then of course countries should live up to those commitments. And the good news is, hey, guess what? The most of them did. Not all of them, but most of them. And sometimes it took a little bit of time, but most of them did. Now, when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, what we are seeing under the leadership of Keir Starmer.
There's some desperate weave going on.
34 countries working closely with the US.
Absolutely desperate weave going on.
Of course, a shared commitment and agreement that we cannot accept the strait to be closed. It has to be opening up, and when it is opened up, we have to keep it open. Because this is about free shipping, it's about the law of the sea, it is about free trade, etc. So big maritime nations like the UK, But also my own country, which is not that big, but as a maritime nation, relevant, the Netherlands. But also I spoke to the Norwegian Prime Minister this morning on the phone, who is the fifth biggest maritime nation on earth. So that these nations...
Famously, law is something that all these countries care about, yeah.
Come together, work together in this coalition to support this endeavor, I think is only logical.
And a final question, we'll go right there in the back.
Rinaldi, CBS News. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Can you shed any light on conversations you might have had with President Trump about Greenland? And would NATO be willing to give up Greenland to President Trump?
CBS is so good, man. It's just turned into the free press. It's just entirely, ever since Barry Rice got involved, it's just become the free press entirely. We're just going to ask silly questions. And if anyone has a go at us, we call them anti-Semitic. My name is Olivia Reingold, and I'm an October the 8th Jew. All this kind of shit. Oh, God damn it.
Well, here the President and I discussed very thoroughly the whole issue in Davos. And first of all, I share his view that there is a big risk that the Russians and the Chinese will become even more involved in the Arctic. Of course, the Arctic is at the moment 8 countries, 7 are part of NATO, 1 Russia not. And then there is China, which is a sort of honorary 9th Arctic country, because they are more and more involved there through Russia. So I think the president is right.
China are more involved in the Arctic through Russia. That's so good, bro. What do you mean?
So what we agreed in Davos is, one, that when it comes to the Arctic, NATO has to play a role here.
It's a crock of shit.
Klinkovich's leadership, we started Arctic Sentry, which is bringing together 5 of the NATO countries in the Arctic, plus, of course, all the other allies, and making sure that the Arctic stays safe, working closely with Canada and the US through NORAD.
It's like me saying I'm dating my girlfriend through her boyfriend. I know.
And this whole endeavor started late January and will help us to defend the Arctic, including Greenland, from this Russian and Chinese influence. So that is one part. The other part, of course, is that Denmark, Greenland and the US continue their bilateral, trilateral talks, focusing on, one, what happens if Greenland would in the future, maybe, yes, no, change its constitutional position within the Kingdom of Denmark. Would agreements then still be valid? I think a fair question to ask and to answer and to get an answer to. I think that's solvable. And secondly, how to prevent, when it comes to the Greenland economy, Russia and China getting access. So those conversations are ongoing.
Mr. Secretary General, as we wind down our conversation today, I want to close by finishing a quote that Dave began in his introductory remarks. It's from President Reagan at from the 1988 address that he gave to the citizens of Western Europe. He began, as Dave said, the Atlantic Alliance is the core of America's foreign policy and America's own security. But he went on, preservation of a peaceful, free, and democratic Europe is essential to the preservation of a free, peaceful, and democratic United States. If our fellow democracies are not secure, we cannot be secure. That is not simply a matter of treaty language. As important as treaty language is, it is an enduring reality. As enduring, President Reagan said, as the reality that a threat to the security of the state of Maine or New York or California is a threat to the security of all 50 American states. And then he said this, simply put, an attack on Munich is the same as an attack on Chicago. That's how President Reagan saw the NATO alliance. Mr. Secretary General, thank you for your work to preserve.
All right, what are we looking at now, chat? Oh my God. This is the New Republic. Let's take a little read of this. Bombshell report reveals that Trump was begging for Iran to join a ceasefire. Let's have a little look. Recent reporting from the Financial Times reveals it was President Trump, not the Iranian government, who was begging for a ceasefire. Financial Times reports that the Trump administration had been privately pushing for a ceasefire for weeks to alleviate the economic strain caused by Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz. depending on Pakistan for mediation. Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir was communicating with Iranian officials, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Trump himself, even after the president threatened to wipe out Iranian civilization on Tuesday. I don't think that part's true, but okay. According to the 5 people familiar with the diplomatic back channel, Trump had been asking for a ceasefire since as early as March 21st, when he first threatened to bomb Iran's power plants. That's so good, dude. That's so good. This contradicts virtually everything that the Trump administration has claimed about Iran, that Trump's constant bombings and threats of extinction caused a wounded, demoralized Iranian regime to pull him to the negotiating table, desperate for a deal with the US. They're begging to make a deal, not me. They're begging to make a deal, Trump said less than 2 weeks ago. And anybody that saw what was happening over there, you don't understand why they want to make a deal. They're begging to work out a deal. Peace talks between the US and Iran are expected to take place tomorrow. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, chat. You won't see it happen. What else happened? This is the Pakistani delegate at the United Nations. Let's take a look and listen to this.
Resilience in the face of adversity, preserving a vibrant social fabric rooted in coexistence among communities and traditions. Lebanon needs a period of calm to pursue its objectives of peace and stability. The renewed escalation and hostilities are a matter of great concern. They threaten far more than infrastructure. They endanger civilian life and risk reversing the fragile political and security progress Lebanon had begun to make preceding the current crisis. In this context, allow me to make 4 points. First, Pakistan reiterates its full support for the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of Lebanon. We condemn in the strongest terms Israel's continued military aggression in southern Lebanon, which has resulted in the death of more than 400 civilians, including at least 83 children and 42 women, and over 600,000 people displaced. Sweeping illegal evacuation orders across large parts of southern Lebanon have deepened civilian suffering. The large-scale destruction of civilian infrastructure and the blatant disregard for international humanitarian law must cease immediately. Second, the use of force must remain the exclusive prerogative of the Lebanese state through its legitimate institutions. In this regard, the Lebanese armed forces play a central role, and Pakistan supports efforts to strengthen their capacity and operational effectiveness. Pakistan welcomes the efforts of the government of Lebanon to restore stability and strengthen state authority, including the cabinet decision of 2nd March to reinforce national security structures.
When are they going to start doing that, though, bro? That's the big question. When is the Lebanese army actually going to start doing that and stop relying on Hezbollah to enforce its fucking sovereignty at its borders?
We also note Lebanon's de-escalation initiatives, including the 4-point plan advanced by its leadership to restore calm and stability. Third, Pakistan strongly condemns attacks on UN peacekeepers serving with UNIFIL, who have been injured in Israeli strikes. Peacekeepers operating under the UN flag carry out a vital mandate authorized by the Council. Their safety and security must be guaranteed at all times. Fourth, Israeli military activities in southern Lebanon,
fucking Israeli delegate just on his phone,
including the continued presence of forces and the establishment of positions inside Lebanese territory, are illegal.
Israelis talk about Pakistanis and Indians in the most disgusting and depraved ways, by the way. Like, if you've ever seen, like, Hindutva Indians on Twitter being like, we love Israel, we stand with Israel, we love Israel so much, you will find Israelis in the replies calling them every single slur in the book. It's just fucking insane, man. I've seen videos of, like, Hindutva Indians, like, going to Israel and being like, oh, we love Israel and India, and, like, Israelis, like, forcing them to kneel in front of them, spitting on them, fucking kicking them and shit. It's absolutely insane, dude.
And unacceptable. These Israeli actions, which are in contravention of international law, are also undermining the efforts of the government of Lebanon to ensure peace and stability in the country. We call for Israel's immediate, full, and unconditional withdrawal from all occupied Lebanese territories. Sustainable calm requires the full implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701 and unwavering respect for Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity along the Blue Line. Mr. President, we echo the Secretary General's deep concern regarding the regional military escalation since 28th February, which has gravely undermined the November 2024 cessation of hostilities agreement. The situation in Lebanon cannot be viewed in isolation from this broader escalation.
This is the key bit, chat.
Heightened confrontation and unjustified attacks on several brotherly countries, which Pakistan has condemned, have gravely aggravated regional security and stability. At this critical juncture, dialogue and diplomacy must prevail over confrontation. De-escalation, restraint, and renewed diplomatic engagement are urgently required to prevent further deterioration of the regional security environment. Only through sustained political dialogue and respect for international law can the region move towards stability and peace. To conclude, Mr. President, Pakistan stands firmly with the government and people of Lebanon. The international community must take urgent action to prevent further escalation, alleviate human suffering, and support Lebanon's efforts to restore peace and stability across its territory. I thank you very much.
Yeah, so essentially they're just, you know, without even saying blatantly Lebanon should be involved in the ceasefire and stuff like that, just saying that there just should be a cessation of hostilities in Lebanon. You know, so standard stuff, pretty basic stuff, not hard, not difficult, very easy to say words though. Will there be any action? Will there be any enforcement of it from the USA? Probably not. If Iran straight up said no to opening the strait unless Israel withdraws from Lebanon entirely, do you think Donald will go grab it or risk losing back to Netanyahu? The strait is closed because of that, Grandpa Simpson. The Strait of Hormuz is shut. It's closed. It's off. Because Lebanon is still under attack. Iran let 2 boats through yesterday as part of the ceasefire agreement. Then they saw that Lebanon was continuing to be attacked. And they closed it off again. There are no ships going through the Strait of Hormuz right now. And it is likely that there will be no negotiations tomorrow. And Iran probably know that. And that's why you're not hearing much from them.
I think.
So that's that. Let's take a look here. This is the big thing. This is the big thing. This is the big subject of the stream today. This is about the potential draft for US military in December. Let's have a look at this news. It's from LBC. Rebecca Henry's from LBC here. Most men between the ages of 18 and 25 are already required to register with the Selective Service System. However, the new proposals set out under Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will see those men automatically registered in the pool within 30 days of their 18th birthday. So, the SSS, which maintains a database of eligible men to be called up to serve in the event of a national emergency, submitted the proposed rule to the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs Act on March the 30th. Automatic registration was mandated in December as part of the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act. It is part of efforts to streamline the self-registration process and save money, supposedly. The United States has not had a military draft since the Vietnam War, and service has been voluntary since 1973. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt has refused to rule out the reintroduction of the draft for the Iran war. She told Fox News in March, President Trump wisely does not remove options off the table. I know not a lot of politicians like to do that quickly. Mrs. Leavitt added that this is not part of the current plan. The draft cannot be brought back by US President Donald Trump through executive action. It would require Congress to pass legislation. In a national emergency, the SSS would provide the personnel to the Department of War and alternative service for conscientious objectors if authorized by the President and Congress. It's a crime not to register for the draft, and you can carry a fine of up to $250,000 and jail time. They're doing the draft with a loophole, yeah. That's what's happening. Even on their own terms, this seems like an extremely stupid idea. Yeah, I mean, we're famously seeing very clever ideas happen again and again. from this administration, particularly regarding war and military, right? They're making lots of very, very good decisions in Iran. It's really smart stuff. It's surgical politics, some might say. Let's read the Independence version of this story. Let's see what they're saying. See if there's any extra information to be found in here, because LBC is not a great source. Let's take a look at what the Independent is saying. The United States is planning to automatically register all eligible men aged 18 to 25 into a military draft pool under a proposed rule change that will come into effect in December if approved. The proposal was put forward by the Selective Service System, a quasi-independent agency separate from the Department of Defense that maintains a database of young American males potentially eligible for military service, raising fears about the prospect of mandatory call-ups returning should the Iran conflict drag on and escalate. Most men within the qualifying age bracket are already required to register, but the shift to an automatic registration was mandated as part of the fiscal 2026 National Defense Authorization Act. Quote, the statutory change transfers responsibility for registration from individual men to the SSS through integration with federal data sources. The agency's website states of the proposal submitted to the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs on March the 30th, which is now awaiting finalization. The Independent has reached out to the White House, Pentagon, and the SSS for comment. The US has imposed the wartime draft in 6 conflicts during its history: the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. All of these went very well for America. Well, I mean, the Civil War went kind of well, and the Revolutionary War went... It's probably the only good one. It's probably the one that went the best out of all of these. An estimated 1.8 million Americans were called up during the deeply unpopular Vietnam conflict, but military service has been voluntary since 1973. It would take an amendment to the Military Selective Service Act by Act of Congress to change that now. Under the current system, failure to register is considered a crime that carries $250,000 fine and the threat of a 5-year jail term, plus the loss of access to state-funded financial aid and employment in numerous states, although in practice, it is seldom prosecuted. Women for now remain ineligible for the draft, despite lawmakers attempting unsuccessfully to attach provisions mandating their inclusion onto annual defense policy bills on several occasions. Early on in the Iran conflict last month, President Donald Trump refused to rule out putting boots on the ground in the Middle East, despite having repeatedly promised an end to forever wars during his 2024 presidential campaign. When it's in black and white like this, with like actual journalism going on, it makes it pretty funny, doesn't it? To just read. It's just like... yeah, the Empire's doing so well. It's so healthy right now. Pink and healthy. Oh, God. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a similarly non-committal answer when he told CBS's 60 Minutes, "You don't tell the enemy, you don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation." He doesn't know what the fuck he's on about, does he? The responses prompted Maria Bartiromo to ask White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt during an appearance about U.S. soldiers being sent into Iran. We watched this press... oh no, this was on Fox News. President Trump wisely does not remove options off the table. Can we watch this? No. Leavitt answered, "I know a lot of politicians like to do that." This was reported in the other LBC article. A reply attracted a furious response from former Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, amongst others, providing a preview of the resistance the administration would likely to be encounter from within Trump's own MAGA base should it call up young men or place U.S. troops in harm's way in Iran. Not only did the president pledge not to enter into any further costly and drawn-out overseas wars during his run for the White House, he also used the prospect of the draft's return as a stick with which to beat Democratic rival Kamala Harris. "She's already talking about bringing back the draft," he told his supporters at September 2024 rally in Las Vegas. "She wants to bring back the draft and draft your child and put them in a war that should have never happened." A week before Election Day, he told another crowd in Atlanta, "All of your sons and daughters will end up getting a draft notice. Congratulations, you've been drafted in the military. You're gonna fight against a war, a fight against a country nobody's ever heard of. Isn't it true? Isn't it ridiculous?" Yeah, it's always projection. It's always projection. Yeah. So, there you go. That's that news. That's that news, chat. My God. My God, my God, my God. As I said, a bit of a shorter stream today. Only 3 hours and 24 minutes. Apologies. It's pretty much half the amount of time that I would normally be going for. So, sorry about that. But of course, it is because it is movie night. Whoa! So don't forget that I will be in the Discord immediately. So get yourself ready in the Discord now. Start getting your snacks and stuff ready. Cup of tea, all that kind of business. Popcorn, you name it. Yeah? And 5 minutes after I do the raid and end the stream, I will be starting the picture show. We will be starting the picture show. The first showing will be Melania. I might not have the Discord link. It's right here. And that's going to be about an hour and 44 minutes long. And then we'll be finishing off with The Apprentice, which is a good movie about Donald Trump's life. So let's go and watch that together. We're going to go and raid someone first. But thank you so much for all the support today, as per usual, chat. Thank you so much for all the subs, all the donos, all the chat messages, all the people just like lurking. Thank you so much for being a lurker. Really appreciate you. You're the backbone of my stream. You're the backbone of Twitch. Thank you very much for I've not had any follows today. Just thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate you. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channels. Don't forget to check out my socials. We are going to go on a raid right now. We're going to raid Very Nice TV because it is a Thursday and therefore she is streaming. She's going to be going through the news. She's going to be going through politics. You name it. Yada, yada, yada. Here's the raid message. If you've got if you've got a sub, copy the first raid message. If you've not, copy the second one just from the /me. And I will be back probably tomorrow on the gaming channel, right? So don't forget to check out the gaming channel. It's in the chat right now, twitch.tv/donkersjonkers. Go follow that now, and then you'll get a little notification tomorrow. And I do some no-cam gaming streams, so I'll probably be streaming a bit of Mugenics. I'll probably be streaming a bit of, what do you call it? Slay the Spire 2, because those are the games that I'm playing at the minute. And I might play something else. I don't know. You'll have to tune in to find out. But I've not got a packed weekend, so I'll probably be streaming. All right, chat. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love and solidarity. I will see you later. Stay excellent to each other. Peace. Mwah. Good night, good night, good night.